Good evening, Canby. This is the Urban Renewal Budget Committee meeting for May 14th, 2026. And we have Councillor Maldonado on Zoom and also Budget Member Jack Pendleton on Zoom. And now for the rest of the roll call, starting with Mr. Mayor.
I'm here.
And I'm the committee chairperson, Kim Wigand. I'm here also.
Council President and Urban Renewal Chair Tracy Hensley.
Urban Renewal Budget Committee member David Tate.
Urban Renewal Budget Committee.
Recording in progress.
And
Jack's muted. Jack, mute. There you go.
Paul Waterman.
Budget Committee member and URA Budget Committee member Sean Varwig.
City Council Commission, URA Commission, Jim Davis.
URA and regular Budget Committee member Melody Thompson.
Interim City Administrator Randy Ely. You just push this button and say your name.
Lee Wiggin, OURA Budget Committee member.
Denise LaRue, Finance Director.
Katie Joyner, Financial Analyst.
Dan Stern, City Councilor and Urban Renewal Agency Commissioner.
Scott Cantonwine, Budget Committee member and URA Budget Committee member.
Jason Patton, URA Commissioner and member of City Council.
George Stroh, Chief of Police.
Don Harris, Director. Nathan Templeman, Swim Center.
First Lee, Library Director.
Keith Lloyd, HR Director.
Todd Wood, Transit Director. Spencer Paul from Public Works.
Heidi Muller, Transit Operations Manager.
Ryan Potter, Planning Manager.
Jessica Roberts, Clerk Supervisor.
Maya Dunham, Administrative Director and City Recorder.
Teresa Ridgely, Deputy City Recorder.
And we have two guests.
Janice Rose, resident of Canby.
Alan Rose, resident.
Welcome. Very good. Welcome. Next on our agenda is public comment. Is there anyone in the audience or on Zoom who wishes to address the Urban Renewal Agency Budget Committee? No? All right, then the next order of business is to approve the minutes from the May 15th, 2025 Urban Renewal Agency Budget Committee meeting. Do we have a second?
Jack, you need to mute. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Mayor has moved to approve the minutes from the May 15th, 2025 Urban Renewal Agency Budget Committee meeting, and the motion was seconded by Councilor Waterman. Is there any discussion, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, the motion to approve the minutes from the May 15th, 2025 Urban Renewal Budget Meeting has been approved. And on to new business. We have a motion to nominate someone to serve as the 2026 Urban Renewal Agency Budget Chair.
Madam Chair, I nominate yourself to retain the role.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion to...
I would like to make a motion for Commissioner, URA Budget Member Melody Thompson.
Okay.
Second. I'll second that.
We already have a motion on the floor that's been seconded, so we need to vote on it first by parliamentary procedure.
I'm not the chair of the.
No, I'm looking to our recorders here. Don't we need to nominate and they second, and we need to vote on that before we accept another? Okay.
Okay.
So the first motion on the floor is for Kim Wiggin to retain the role of chair.
Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, we're going to need a roll call. That's not very, it's divisive, so we need to know how many.
Teresa, would you do a roll call?
Let's see. Chair Wiggin,
Yay.
Council President Hensley,
Aye.
Budget Member Tate,
Nay.
Council Member Waterman,
Nay.
Budget Member Barwick,
Aye.
Councilor Davis,
Nay.
Budget Member Thompson,
Aye.
Budget Member Wiggin,
Aye.
Councilor Stearns,
Aye.
Budget Member Canton-White,
Aye.
Councilor Patton,
Nay.
and Budget Member Pendleton, sorry.
I don't think he has his mic on.
You can unmute now, Jack.
If he turns it on.
He's on twice.
Jack, for some,
unmute. There, that's better.
we could hear you just now.
You're logged in twice.
Are we able to remove the second unphotoed Jack Pendleton? I think that's the one that's causing the feedback.
For some reason, Jack, you are on the meeting twice, and so you're getting feedback from two devices that are near you.
Maybe logged in on his phone and his computer.
The one's muted, the other's not.
He can give a visual thumbs up, thumbs down while we figure it out. Who said technology's our friend, right?
There you go.
What was your vote, Budget Member Pendleton? I don't think he heard me.
He looks frozen.
No.
Oh, there he is, okay.
Jack, what is your vote for chair? Is it an aye or a nay for Kim Wiggin?
Okay, so the other one was a smile. So Mike's not gonna have to separate it, just. Still not.
I'll message you
Does anybody have his number? They can text him.
All right. Right, David.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, maybe you can text him if it's like he's gonna leave. If
I'll
not,
just call him.
I used to have it. And I got the phone. There you go.
Hello? Okay, push mute on,
What's that?
I think you're good. Go ahead and vote, Jack.
Okay, they've signed me out. I'm not.
You're good.
I'll try to
we see
join the
you.
meeting again.
You're perfect right now.
Can you hear us, Jack?
He'll need to.
They've signed me out.
I don't think he can hear us. Jack, can you hear me talking right now?
No.
Yes, I can.
Okay, then you're good.
But is it through the phone?
Oh, now you're not, you're gone.
What the hell did he just, oh boy.
What is it, Zoom?
Zoom world.
Yeah, he called Randy, but we weren't hearing him through Randy's phone. We were hearing him through
Me in a budget meeting.
through this.
Logged in twice. What's going on?
All right. Let's go, Jack. Are you there? Can you hear us? I'm just gonna call him again.
Yeah. Just let him know that this moving.
Okay, Jack, you're on. How do you vote?
I don't know. I didn't hear anything before that.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Do you want to say the motion?
The motion was for Kim Wiggin to be chair of the Urban Renewal Agency budget meeting.
It's for-
Budget committee.
There's a motion for Kim Wigan to be the chair of the Urban Renewal Budget Meeting.
Okay, I'll vote for that.
He votes yes.
Aye, okay.
And Mayor Hudson, I forgot to ask you.
Aye.
Okay.
All right, let me see here. I can look for browser. Let me see if I can get this going.
Do we have a tally?
I'm getting one now.
She's working.
Could you see, can he hear us on his,
Ask him if he can
well, he
hear us.
can
on his
because
phone.
it's reverbing through his phone.
Jack, can
Have him unmute himself on this.
you unmute yourself?
So it's yes, 8 yes, and 5 no.
Okay, I just unmuted. Did that cause a problem?
No, you're good. This is good.
This is good?
You're good.
Okay, good.
Stay with us, Jack.
Okay, don't touch any buttons.
Okay, my
All right.
end's good now too.
All right, so the ayes have Kim Wigan as the Urban Renewal Budget Committee Chairperson. And now, do we have a motion to nominate a vice chair?
So given that, I will nominate Melody Thompson as vice chair.
You nominated for chair, you did not vote for chair, you nominated for chair.
We all just voted. That was what the whole roll call was.
Nominate. That doesn't mean she got it, that means one of the nominees, and then someone else said another nominee.
So-
You voted against each other, you didn't say for chair, you said I nominate.
So that's where there's some confusion here, is that in past years, when we've done this, and there's been multiple, that it's been opened to see if there are people who are being nominated for chair. Then if there is one or more nominations, those nominations are taken.
Right.
And then those nominations close. And then there are individual votes for each individual who was nominated to then become chair.
Yeah.
And if one gets more votes than the other, then that person is the chair.
Maya?
That's how it's been done in the past.
Robert's rules.
So that's why I was confused what was going on here.
I'm looking to our recorders to help us, so Maya?
That's
I believe Councilor Patton is correct.
So that would be regardless of a count, you're still going to take a vote on each nomination and each.
Yeah, so you would say, we've opened the floor for nominations. Are there any nominations? Kim was nominated, Melody was nominated. Are there any other nominations? Let's say Sean is nominated. Then the nominations are closed. Then we go, okay, now we're gonna vote. All in favor of Kim, aye, nay. All in favor, if she prevails, then she prevails. If she fails, then we go to the next person and onward and forward. That's how it normally goes.
Okay, so let's start over.
Well, you're nominated, so.
Okay.
Who is the vice chair? Remind me, who is the vice chair of this?
Last year, Councilor Davis was voted as vice chair.
Okay. Sorry, I stepped into your role. I apologize.
And it's okay, so do we count the last vote for me and then do a vote for Melody?
No, because they might change.
I mean, we just do a roll call, so we can know what everybody's voted.
So if I may, what I think would be best is to open the floor back up for nominations to see if there are more people to be nominated on top, above Mrs.
two,
Wigan
okay.
and Ms. Thompson.
Okay.
If there isn't, then we close, and then we do a roll call vote based on those individuals, because obviously there's gonna be some people, yes or nay, for different people. And if in the first roll call you prevail, then you are the chair. If it fails, then we move on to Melody, and then we go from there. That's how I would do it.
Okay, so are there any other nominations? No,
Okay.
all right, so.
So we have,
So now Teresa gets to do this all again, but exercising a roll call
Am I
by,
gonna do roll call again?
Yes.
but we just name a person rather than yay or nay.
Okay. So, Council President Hensley,
Ms. Wigan?
Mr. Tate,
Ms. Thompson.
Counselor Waterman.
Ms. Thompson.
Mr. Garwood.
Ms. Wiggin.
Counselor Davis.
Ms. Thompson.
Ms. Thompson.
Miss Wiggin.
I'm sorry?
Miss Wiggin.
Okay.
Mrs. Wiggin.
Mrs. Wiggins.
Yes.
Mr. Wiggin.
Mrs. Wiggin.
That's smart.
Counselor Stearns.
Ms. Wiggin.
Mr. Canton-White.
Mrs. Wiggin.
Counselor Patton.
Mrs. Thompson.
Mayor Hodson.
That was a long time.
That's a long, way back machine.
That's okay. Ms. Wiggin.
So, it's the same, so it would be 8-5. And Chair Wiggin has it.
All right, Chair Wiggin, I will go back to where we were on the agenda and nominate Ms. Thompson as vice chair.
Second.
All right.
Counselor Patton.
We have a motion to elect Mrs. Melody Thompson as Urban Renewal Budget Committee Vice Chair. It has been motioned by Council President Hensley and seconded by Mr. Patton. Okay. Any questions or discussion?
Any other nominations?
Nominations.
Any other nominations? Hearing none. There you go.
All right. Questions, discussion?
No, for the regular budget.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And it is carried. Congratulations, Vice Chair Melody Thompson. Okay, all right. Now, Mr. Ely, interim city manager. I am turning it over to you.
Okay, thank you. Just so I'm clear, who's chair right now of Urban? Okay, let's get some feedback. Chair Wagman.
Woo!
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We're getting a lot of feedback here. Okay, I'm Randy Ely, your interim Urban Renewal Agency Director, and I'm reading the budget message tonight for our final year of Canby's Urban Renewal Agency budget. Let me know if you have any questions or if you can't hear me. I've got my mic off right now because of the feedback. I used words carefully. I'm on page 2. At the very back of the budget is the Urban Renewal final plan, final budget. Okay. It says page 2, but it's way in the back. So I guess I would start from the back.
Third from the back.
It's after page 170.
And I'm on page 2 with the budget message first. It's a short budget message. It's a one-pager, and it's been written very carefully. In the first sentence, I'm presenting the final proposed Urban Renewal Agency budget for fiscal year 2027, the amount of $1.2 million. This is the amount we think it will take to finish the last project of the Urban Renewal Agency, First Street. If there is any remaining funds after we bid that project, those funds will be sent back to Clackamas County, where they will distribute the remaining funds back to the, I'll call them junior taxing districts. If you go down a couple more paragraphs, you can see our activity planned in this proposed budget for your consideration. Finance staff will make a final debt payment in the amount of $3.9 million this month, marking the closure. And then we will engage and budget in the final First Street project. I think you all know where that project is, for $1.2 million. And again, just reiterating that we'll return any remaining funds So we're probably going to have to budget this and get various estimates and see what kind of scale we can do for 1.2 and come to the Urban Renewal Agency with the recommended project scope. So that's that about this year's Urban Renewal Agency. Page 1, if you go back, you can see what I think we have a slide to project, Teresa.
Yes.
If you go ahead to page 1, you can see the lifespan of this Canby Urban Renewal Agency and how the tax increment has climbed due to your work, your investment over the years. And that's the increment of those properties that will get returned back to your taxing districts. And that's the list on the screen. There's a few screens here. One side can see that screen, this side can see that. Thanks to IT for bringing in a couple screens, and then we have one screen back here. But you can see in our general fund, which we'll go over later tonight, the City of Canby will receive close to $1.2 million annually in property tax revenues. Canby Fire is set to receive over $535,000 annually. Canby School District, unfortunately, that goes back into the statewide pot. So that 1.5 million gets through the mix formula that's down in Salem. But everybody else is set to receive those dollars as we shut down this agency. Any questions? Madam Chair. Appreciate everybody's help. We will be back to council with, you can show the next slide if you like, just a few pictures of, oh, I have it. Wrong picture. Hard to see these pictures, but there's just a few projects that took place over the years, as I understand it, with Dahlia and the bridge into the industrial park, Pioneer. Some road infrastructure improvements, the library. You guys were all involved very heavily over the past couple decades on these. So anyway, we can take those down now. Yeah, so that is the story with Urban Renewal Finance. Am I missing any highlights? Okay. We will see if this is working. Still feedback. We will be back to the Urban Renewal Agency with either a resolution or an ordinance for your consideration after we finish this project to officially close down Canby Urban Renewal Agency. So that's my report. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right. Any discussion, questions? Do we have a motion to approve the budget?
Madam Chair, I move that the Budget Committee of the Canby Urban Renewal Agency approve the budget for the 2026-2027 fiscal year in the amount of $1,206,620. Further, I move that any remaining project funds no later than June 30th, 2027 be returned to
All right. It has been moved by Vice Chair Melody Thompson and seconded by Sean Varwig, committee member, to approve the urban renewal, Canby Urban Renewal Agency budget for the 2026-2027 fiscal year in the amount of $206,620. Oh my goodness. And I further move that any remaining project funds no later than June 30th, 2027 be returned to Clackamas County. Motion was seconded by Mr. Varwig. Any questions or discussions on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion is approved. All right, do we have a motion to adjourn the urban renewal agency?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. It is now adjourned. And now moving on.
Wait, do we need to give Gordon a minute?
Do we need a All right, I would like to call to order the City of Canby Budget Committee meeting for May 14th, 2026. And let's do a roll call, starting with Mayor Hodson.
Mayor Hodson, present for Budget Committee.
And Kim Wiggin, current Budget Committee Chair, here.
Council President Tracy Hensley.
Budget Committee Member David Tate.
Budget Committee Member, Councilor Paul Waterman.
Budget Committee Member Sean Varwig.
City Council Jim Davis.
Melody Thompson, Budget Committee.
Randy Ely, Interim City Administrator.
Lee Wiggin, URA Budget Committee Member.
Denise LaRue, Finance Director. Katie Joyner, Financial Analyst.
Dan Stern, City Councilor.
Scott Cantonwine, Budget Committee Member.
Jason Padden, City Councilor, and I think I'm the Vice Chair? I can't remember. I'm gonna go with that.
George Cho, Chief of Police.
Don Hardy, Planning Director.
Nathan Templeman, Swim Center Manager.
Marissa Ely, Library Director.
Pete Wood, HR Director.
Todd Wood, Transit Director.
Spencer Pollock, Public Works.
Ryan Muller, Transit Operations Manager.
Ryan Potter, Planning Manager.
Tristan Roberts, Park Supervisor. Maya Benham, Administrative Director and City Reporter. Teresa Ridgely, Deputy City Reporter.
I guess.
And our guests.
Janice Rose, resident of Canby.
Alan Rose, resident of Canby.
Kat Mulligan, resident of Canby.
All right, thank you. All right, next is public comment. Do we have anyone in the audience or Zoom that wishes to address the Budget Committee?
Forgot to Jack on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jack, are you here?
Jack Hamilton.
Maybe?
Jack, you have to unmute to check in.
Oh, I'm here.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. And Councilor Maldonado, is he on there?
No.
No? Okay. All right. So no public comment. The next order of business is to approve, I'm sorry, Mr. Varwick.
Just for a matter of clarification, Mr. Wiggin was URA Budget Committee, so and now that
Yes.
the regular Budget Committee,
Yes.
just participation is as a community member at this point.
He's now an audience member.
Yeah, perfect.
You could, if you wish to. Yeah, he did identify himself as URA, but yeah.
Yes.
And if you want to dip, you can. You earned your candy.
All right, so the next order of business is to approve the minutes from the February 26th, 2025 mid-year budget review meeting and the May 15th, 2025, May 22nd, 2025, and May 29th, 2025 budget committee meetings. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
All right, it has been moved by Council President Hensley and seconded by Mr. Varwig to approve the.
It was Councilor
Oh, it was Waterman? I'm so sorry. Seconded by Councilor Waterman to approve the minutes from the February 26, 2025 mid-year budget review meeting and the May 15th, 2025, May 22nd, 2025, and the May 29th, 2025 budget committee meetings. Is there any questions or discussion? Yes, Mr. Waterman.
A mid-year budget meeting this year, right?
Yes, 2026. Did I say 20? Oh, that's because it's got 2025 in here, sorry.
Oh, yeah, it does say 25.
It says 2025 up there, too. It is actually February 26th, 2026.
No, that's correct. The one that we had this year was actually a council meeting. It wasn't actually a budget committee meeting.
And we already approved those minutes.
Oh, okay.
So this is actually for last year's mid-year budget review.
Okay. Okay.
We
So
approved
that would
them
have
in the
been
council
last,
minutes.
yeah,
Yes,
last year's
everything
budget.
last year.
Okay, everything last year. All right. Okay.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, the motion to approve the minutes from the February 26, 2025 mid-year budget review meeting and the May 15th, 2025, May 22nd, 2025, and May 29th, 2025 budget committee meetings has been approved. And moving on to new business, do we have a motion to nominate someone to serve as the 2027 budget committee chair?
I nominate Kim Wigan.
Do we have a second? And are there any other nominees? All right, then the motion to elect Kim Wigan has, Council President Hensley has motioned to elect Kim Wigan for Budget Committee Chairperson. It's been seconded by Councilor Stearns. So any other questions, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. And, all right, then do we have a motion to nominate the vice chair?
I will nominate Scott Cantonwine.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion to elect Scott Cantonwine for Budget Committee Vice Chair from Council President Hensley and seconded by Councilor Padden. Any other nominations? Any questions, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Congratulations, Vice Chair Scott Cantonwine. All right, and now I will turn the Budget Committee over to Randy Ely, the interim city administrator, for the budget message.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening. It's Randy Ely, your interim city administrator. Wanted to just start off with sort of some logistics before we dive in. Time check my budget message that I'm about to give, hopefully around 15 minutes with some Q&A after that, just so we have a time check on that. I did want to say on behalf of the staff, thank you very much. It has been an absolute honor this past year serving as your interim city administrator, and we look forward to presenting this budget tonight that you all have had lots of input and help creating, and literally built off of I have a handout of the council goals that we built this from as the cornerstone. But I just wanted to say thank you mostly to previous city councils, mayor, city budget committee members, and then of course the staff behind you. All of the work the past several years showing fiscal restraint. It's a real common theme in this budget, I think, which we'll learn more about tonight. So I wanted to acknowledge the past and what we're going to be pushing for in the future. For whatever reason, things may not have been pursued, and I hope to outline a plan of pursuing some exciting opportunities. I want to, again, make sure that I'm thanking the leadership team. It's been quite a year, and now that we have a couple new positions filled, a couple more to go after in the leadership team, I think we're in the right direction. So. That said, the flow, if you will, is that I'll try to hit top line with each presentation. Apologize in advance, but we're going to try and really articulate page numbers for you, because there can be some page gymnastics involved in this, as you've probably learned over the past. So we'll call out which page number we're going to as we walk through this tonight. I'm told that you have a tradition of sort of like a bubble list. And so if there's a deeper conversation you want to have after we're through the budget and walking through these, parking lot, bubble list them, and we can go back and do deeper dives after the departments and the different directors make their presentations. Madam Chair, if there's any, I'll look for verbal cues from you if there's any need for a bio break or a break in general. And just as you walk through this, we did add something. This is my fourth city that I've been working in Oregon, and we added narratives to some of the budget lines as descriptions for what this money is being spent for. So I hope you appreciate some of the detail that's added in this year that's different perhaps from the past. And then lastly, I just ask for a little kindness. Nobody's perfect. There might be some, this is a big document. It's a $93 million budget, so there might be something here or there that, you know, we need to talk about a little bit further. So appreciate all of us helping each other out tonight. So that said, if there are any questions, we can turn to the first page that I'd like to discuss, which is page 41 in your budget book. It's the general fund. We're going to start with the general fund tonight. Underneath the general fund nests 11 different units, we used to call them, or different funds that we'll walk through. But starting with the big picture, Teresa, I think there's a slide deck that we'd like to share. My budget message, PowerPoint. There we go. Okay. All right. I emailed this out earlier, so you should have a copy that you can refer to. Otherwise, try and see on the screen here if you can. All right. This jumped way ahead. From the top, key themes this year, we're bringing a budget with confidence to you tonight on 4 key principles. Basically, the council has been very busy planning the work. There's over 24 plans, long-term plans that are active and being updated right now, including urban growth boundary, transportation, SDCs, comprehensive plan, lots of long-term planning going on at the moment, which you'll hear more about when Mr. Hardy comes up. The general fund, really anchoring on a mandate that came out of council, a policy to keep our operating fund reserves at least 20%. So we bring this budget to you tonight forecasting 23% next June of 2027. Right now, we're pretty darn close to in the high 40s. As we sit here today, there's 8 weeks left in this. So we got a crystal ball out in this budget. There's still 8 weeks of spending. And we'll get into more of that. Forecasting, the council has asked us to take a look, not just at this budget, but what are our known expenses that are coming in 27 and 28 and 29, even 30. So looking out, we've done some of that work. We had a council meeting forecasting expenses, costs that are escalating like insurance, PERS, inflation, drivers that don't keep up with or that cause pressures on our revenues that are coming in. Housekeeping, basically these are steps today that I'd like to recommend that we can do to avoid some turbulence tomorrow. So having conversations with our community about services that they want to see and enjoy, and just calibrating with that expectations, whether it's parks or the swim center, or we haven't surveyed in a long time. The survey that we have been doing is during comprehensive plan outreach and technical advisory committees and citizen advisory committees, but this would be more targeted towards city services. all the while maintaining the small town charm or small city charm, whichever word you'd like to use. We are approaching 20,000 in Canby. I heard somebody at Chamber the other day open a meeting with the words that please look after us for a prosperous and safe place to thrive, healthy and happy, growing closer together. I wrote that down. It was at Chamber. I thought it was actually a blessing. So, and it seemed to resonate with the work we're doing now. Again, I mentioned planning the work and working the plan. All these plans that our planning department is working on. I'm really concerned with roads. Canby puts a high value on its roads, and we have a lot of construction traffic right now going on. And so our street, you'll hear more from our street fund later tonight about our emphasis on crack sealing and overlaying and actually upgrading county roads that are in our city. Placing an emphasis, we did our parks master planning on neighborhood park attention. So deferred maintenance can be a challenge with limited staff, so want to make sure that we're looking at Waite Park, for example, and all the great neighborhood parks in Canby and focusing some resources in that direction. Obviously, something the council's been wrestling with is through our housing needs analysis. We just saw a house go on the market, Mayor, last week for $850,000. And so it's just, if you want to have entry-level housing, there's some things that the council's working on to try and allow for that with some breaks maybe in developer fees, but that's a policy decision that helps keeps the price of the housing down for entry-level. If your kids would want to come back to Canby, for example, and maybe go to the Canby schools. So we want to provide all kinds of housing, a mixed housing option through long-term planning. We're about to approve some new system development charges for transportation, sewer, parks. Those are coming soon to help growth pay for growth. You're hearing that with, if you're watching the news lately, data centers are trying to go into Hillsborough and other areas, and now the utilities and the cities are trying to make them pay for the load that they are going to draw on. Want to focus on some economic development, level setting, business community summits, focusing on things such as a hotel, and exploring with the State Tourism Commission, the fairgrounds here, the Chamber of possible interest in siting hotel for overnight stays in Canby. Working with the school district on their land discussions. I think there's a recycled interest in talking about that right now that we need to engage in, and next week could be very telling as their levy is up on that front. And currently going with urban growth boundary expansion here in Canby. With that comes added additional power and water and transportation challenges. And as you know, we worked through some power issues earlier last year or middle of last year. Investing in the future in some of those rates. You don't have to look far around us. Estacada, Molalla, Sandy, they're all dealing and wrestling with $50 or $60 million sewer plant expansions. And the Canby utility with their water project, over $100 million. So trying to invest a little today to save for tomorrow is we're recommending in this budget. This is just marinate on this slide. It's very scary, but these are other communities. I did some peer review. We do not have what I would call a structural deficit at this point, but these are like 2 or 3 year, 4 year forecasts. Some of these cities and counties are on biennium budgets, but these are their general funds deficits that they're reporting in, and those are some big numbers, and also a growing number of school districts. So I would say after we get done with this, you have a $90 million budget with 38, almost half of it in reserves. And that's a conversation we'll have tonight about deploying those reserves for projects, because as money doesn't get out the door today, it gets more costly tomorrow. But I would argue you could pat yourself on the back with a healthy amount of reserves like that. Okay, what's going on with that slide that you just saw? There was a ballot measure 50 and 5 in the early 90s that basically, as you know, you guys, I'm not saying anything new that nobody doesn't know, sorry. Assessed valuation, it was sort of put into motion back in the 90s at a 40% discount from real market value at the time. So, and then it was just only allowed to increase 3% annually. So for example, a real market value of a $750,000 home is now assessed at $300,000. And if you do the Canby property tax rate, it's $2,618. It would have been at $750,000, but we get $1,000. So that's really suppressing, and a lot of cities are talking about resetting on sale. That can't get past the legislature right now. So this is just a fundamental general fund. This is where you receive your property taxes. Issue with a lot of these cities that are facing these big deficits. And in our case, we receive about $7 million a year in property taxes. If we collected all the real market value, it would be around 21 million. So that's that's 3 times what we're getting. So we're making it work in Canby. You're doing a great job. This is just highlighting what other cities are faced with. This gives you a little slide on the council reserve policy. This is a key tenet and anchor in this budget. So all these words matter. The operating revenue of the general fund is approximately 12.3 million. As of today, in the general fund, we are recommending and forecasting 32% reserves at the end of June, ending fund balance of this year. That's 8 weeks from now. And in June 2027, we are bringing this budget in at 23%, which is the smaller font at the bottom. So you can see the different rates. The school district is at 5% in their reserves, so that's dangerously low. And we feel comfortable bringing you a budget with a 23% reserve. And this is almost done. It's hard to see these slides, but this is a picture of what I just explained in the previous slide of the 32% number there in the 2026 proposed general fund budget, and at the last column, 2027, coming in at 23%. So we're meeting that 20% that you set last year in the middle there during your budget meetings. Just really quickly, you saw this last year. I'll just go through this. The only additional hours in this budget is not a full-time equivalent, but there are hours for part-time additional hours in the library, 33 additional hours. Wages and benefits, we'll talk a little bit more about that later. The health insurance rates for regents have spiked and caught up. And so they're up with Kaiser. Those are the 2 plans we have for our employees, and they're getting to be about equal. We're in the middle of our labor contracts with the police and AFSCME, and you budgeted last year for 5%, and we negotiated 3.5% in those contracts, so there was a bit of a savings there. PERS is up 10 years, 136%, I believe finance told me. So that's something we're going to want to have a conversation about a little bit later in the meeting. And this is just a global sign of the $90 million in your budget. You can see 38 million there reserved for future projects, capital outlay, reserved ending fund balance. And you can see the personnel in there, materials and services. In each of these budgets we'll look at, you'll typically have 3 categories: personnel, M&S, and capital outlay. Many of you are very familiar with how this works, and I hope I'm not being too repetitive. Finally, the general fund ending fund balance new this year is, after conversations with several of you, decided to park reserves that are restricted for council priorities and budget committee priorities. So we are going to propose parking some money in Parks and Recreation for Canby Parks. That goes strictly to maintenance. You've heard a lot from your Parks and Recs Commission about their interest in that and what the actual code calls for. So this will hold us accountable in that regard. Fleet replacement. We're going to try and build a reserve fund to work on replacing our fleet as they age out and get more strategic about that. Property acquisition fund, very timely if folks like the school district want to talk or redevelopment opportunities come forward with downtown or in your industrial parks. The public education grant is small, but that's how this whole thing runs with Willamette Falls Studios, who are helping us out tonight. Last year, you started a Maple Park Turf Fund Replacement Fund, so we're adding to that, and then a future emergency. So that's a lot of categories that will help be more accountable with the reserve balance in the general fund. Forecasting, no surprise, labor is outpacing revenue. We've already talked about that. But our typical labor cost drivers that we're evaluating are salaries, health insurance. We're going to see more about all of these categories a little bit later. Interest income, strangely enough, is down in the budget from LGIP. We see inflationary pressures due to maybe some geopolitical activity that's going on right now. I'm hearing groceries, gas, fuel. So we're watching all of that carefully because we do buy a lot of fuel. You'll hear about later tonight. PERS is 25% of payroll. In 2020, the city council set up a side account, PERS side account that the state matched into. So you're trying to buy down your unfunded liability there, which is good. You're in the game with a few cities that were able to afford to do that. And finance reports that most of the COVID ARPA-related dollars are gone, are being mostly gone. There's one left for Walnut that we're using, but you got about $4 million you deployed to local businesses, et cetera. And these are just some quick graphs. I'm wrapping up really quick here so we can get into this. PERS, you can see that curve. This is our CIS pool for rates, and that is trending upward. Had a tough couple of years most recently. Healthcare costs, not too bad, but you can see the two different plans there that are connected to each other now, so they're about the same price. Police department requirements, this just visually shows you that what we take in property taxes pretty much covers the expense of our amazing men and women in the Canby Police Department. Property tax revenue is moving in an upward direction, most notably later in the coming years due to the Urban Renewal Agency shutting down. And this is again, a chart that's pretty hard to see, but this is a roll-up of a lot of our big franchise fees. So businesses, we charge a fee for businesses to conduct business in your right of way, and we have franchise agreements with them, and we're looking at all 7 of those very carefully. Northwest Natural Gas is up first. That one expires in a couple months. But Canby Utility is another, the garbage hauler, telephone, a lot of users, Portland General Electric, we're going to recommend starting a franchise with them. So I'm going to wrap it up at that, I think, before we get into this budget. If there are any questions, I just said, let's begin. These are your council goals, which are in front of you. That's how we built this budget. This was a citizen feedback. You want your kids to be able to live where they grew up, was a Cultivating Canby top line comment. And those were the comp plan visioning statements that were bucketed as the top priorities for Canby residents. So with that said, it's a pretty healthy discussion to say that we're bringing in a fiscally solid budget this year, but we do want to continue forecasting 3 to 5 years out for you to show you if there's any cliffs that we can forecast or see. So I'll stop there and point to page 41. 41 is the overall numbers for your budget. At the top column, the $90 million budget is for a total for all funds, for resources and requirements, with the reserve level at 37.9 million. And at the bottom of page 41 is, these are new numbers that are not in this book, but on FY26 projected, this is the core principle, financial principle that was given to us from the council to bring that in at 20% at the very least. And right now, 2026 is projected, instead of 29, it should say 32, because we had new numbers that ran through April. And at the end of fiscal year 27 proposed, instead of 21, it should say 23. That's where we're at as we sit here. There's 8 weeks left still, though. Next, on page 42, I just want to draw your attention to the very bottom where it says reserved for future expense. That's where you see all those carve-outs that we talked about, where we're saving for fleet, property acquisition, parks reserves, the Maple Park turf replacement, some very specific allocations on the far right corner that all total up to that over 20% threshold. And we're not done yet. Page 83, this is where we do our gymnastics. Page 83 in your budget. I like this page. This page shows all of your general fund revenue contributions that you operate, essentially the city's general fund under. So you start at the top line with your property taxes, and you can see in FY26, we're projecting $7.167 million, but in the next year, this budget, because of that 1.2 you're going to get from urban renewal, it's going to jump a little bit. You're going to get a bump to 8.6. There's always property taxes that come in late, so that's how we track that in the second line. And then the next, you're going to see a series of those franchise agreements that are a relationship for the privilege of conducting business in your city, the wear and tear in your streets. We have franchise agreements with all of these agencies. And so you can see some of the numbers that we're forecasting in the last column. There is a state revenue sharing fund that we get a little bit lower down there. And then I would like to point your attention to CU, that means Canby Utility in lieu of taxes. It's essentially a franchise, and that's going to bump up to about 1.2 million in the coming year. Again, we're looking at all those with the council. I have an audit going on right now to see when they expire, what the rate is. Sometimes it's 4%, sometimes it's 3%, sometimes it's 5% of the business that they do in your city. We're going to talk a little bit later about the bottom half of page 83, which is all of the transfer ends. And Madam Chair, I'm watching, I see a hand up, but I don't know if it just went up or not, but anyway, I'll keep going really quick. I'm almost done with this section. This is the overhead that's pulled into the general fund from our other funds. And we'll get into that a little bit later and how that math is how the formula works for that math. Okay. Anything on the big picture general fund finance? If I missed any big things there, I'm about to get into all the different units, which on page 42 is a nice visual for you. It shows you how this is going to work. So We just talked about the umbrella, the general fund, but now we've got 11 different funds that nest under it that we're going to talk about one by one. Administration, HR, finance, court, planning, building, police, parks, cemetery, ACDev, and then non-departmental and the reserved. And
All right, we have a few questions.
Yep.
Mr. Pendleton.
Yes, I have one question back on, let's see which page.
Can we turn him up somehow?
Hold on.
The,
We can't
Hold
hear
on a
you.
second, Jack. We can't hear you.
can you hear me now?
There we go.
There you go.
Okay, question, CU in lieu of taxes.
Yeah.
That's going up a lot. What, is there going to be a rate change? Because as far as I know, nobody has talked to Canby Utility about anything there.
The spike, Commissioner, Budget Committee Member Pendleton.
Mr. Pendleton.
Mr. Pendleton, is due to their own rate increases. So they'll be increasing more money, which means the 5% makes more that we charge them, if that makes sense.
But I'm just wondering, did anybody talk to them? Because that number does not look like what we're looking at. Canby Utility.
Okay, I'll take a note to follow up with Carrie. I did send her a note earlier saying I'd like to talk to her about the rate as we're looking at all the different ones. And that's, so that, just so you all know, that is electricity and water, two different utilities.
And it will go up. I know it will go up because we've had rate increases on both.
That's why we're projecting the spike. Thank you for pointing that out.
All right, Mayor Hodson, you have a question?
I do. Randy, regarding the franchise fee audit that you're working on, who is doing business in Canby currently that we don't get a franchise fee from that we may be entertaining a conversation with, or is that too early to say?
Not too early to say all, but I'll give you a couple examples. Portland General Electric's one. They have a lot of transmission and distribution along territorial in other areas. They also serve power to a few accounts, which we're trying to clean up with as we annex, voluntarily annex into the City of Canby. There is what's called pole attachments. You can make a request. I've made a request to Canby Utility for pole attachments. Those are different folks that are renting poles to conduct business inside Canby city limits. So this could be Verizon, AT&T, any number of folks that are using the right of way. And so we'll have that list too. Jack, I see I'm getting into his specialty, so I apologize.
All right, Jack. Do you have another question?
Anyway.
No, I'm fine, I'm good.
Okay.
Your hand's still up.
Your hand's still up.
Okay, let me get it there.
There you go. Thank you.
Any others that you were thinking of? Okay.
No, I appreciate that. I know that pole attachment is a big one. We, you know, as a city council, we had a number of proposals come to us about pole attachments probably 5-6 years ago.
Okay.
But I don't know where that I don't think we implemented that yet, but I could be wrong. If we did, or that we've given that space to do so, then we should be collecting franchise fees for those.
Councilor Davis?
Yeah, Randy, do you want to touch on where the strategic investment zone lands?
Yes.
For revenue.
I will touch on that. We have parked that, if finance looks for that. What Mr. Davis is referring to is Columbia Distribution came to town years ago, and they're in year 5 of a strategic investment zone property tax abatement program, where the fire district when Mr. Davis was chief, the City of Canby and Clackamas County negotiated a fee sort of in lieu of, if you will, based on 25% of the property tax value of their building at the time. And so annually, the fire district, Canby Fire District, the City of Canby get money in lieu of taxes. And I think it's approximately for us about $60,000 a year to the city. And we park that on page
83 in miscellaneous income.
Okay, thank you. There's 15 years left on that deal.
Councilor Patton?
Yeah, so to touch on that, and I might have a misunderstanding of this. From a few years back, someone had told me that back in the day when that was decided, that there was an agreement with the city to send what money the city was going to get from that to the fire department to make up for what was not going to them from the urban renewal district. So that is not the case then. So that money has been coming to us directly. It's not been transferred over to police, fire. Okay.
The fire district has a negotiated amount that they receive.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay.
All right. Now I'm gonna invite, well, first we'll go to, let's see, we did the visual on page 42 that shows what we're gonna start talking about. So now we're gonna go to my fund called administration, which is on page 43. This is 3 FTE, me, and the city recorder, the assistant city recorder, mighty team of 3. And we support the council. Maya's coming down. She's bringing her name card. Gotta make sure. Wear a lot of hats, actually. Hi, Maya. Welcome. Put a couple nice pictures in there for your viewing pleasure. But on page 47, it kind of gives you a little bit of the outline. One thing you'll note is that this year we did try to do some reallocation. We took a look at where everybody at the city is working right now and allocating their time appropriately. So you'll hear a little bit more about that later with economic development. But in the case of us, we don't have a city attorney anymore in our shop, and it's just 3 FTE, and some time has been moved around a little bit for us, and I've been working in public works. I know that pretty heavily with Spencer and Todd, but the top line there again was we walked through this. You're going to see personnel is the first quadrant. The second is materials and services with each of these. And then capital outlay in some funds. So for us, highlights, as you see in the comment section, which is new this year, we have no election costs. And that's I need to correct that. There's no election costs in May or November anytime. So you go free as a city if you put something on in May and November. If it's a special election, then we have to pay a fee or a recount on the chance of a recount. So we need to go in November because we have a swim levy that is ending in June of next year. So Maya will run that for the council. We do some records management, Chavez consultant with the state. A lot of cities use the same program. It's the state retention program. This is where we have our legal costs in the next column. We did do some smoothing of our legal expenses to other funds that incur those costs rather than it all just being absorbed by the general fund. So if we have a project, let's say on 10th Street or other streets that incur some legal costs, we'll charge that appropriately. If you go a little bit further down, you can see Willamette Falls Studios. That's Gordon back there working tonight for us. If you go a little further down, you can delete this clerk-based program. That was a Scribner's error. We've already purchased that. This is, Maya, I'll let you speak to this because it's a pretty cool program that a lot of people have been asking us for over the years.
Yeah, so it's just a one-shop program built into our website portal to make it a lot easier for volunteers to apply. So it's just a quick fillable form. Right now, we're using the NeoGov, which is almost like you're applying for a job here at the city. It's very difficult and not easy to use. So this great easy application. It tracks all the term end dates for counselors, all boards and committees, advisory boards here at Canby. Keeps a whole membership history. So everything's all in one place and convenient, so.
That's for your boards and commissions when you apply.
Councilor Patton, you have a question?
Yeah, so with that, is it something that is currently, we have purchased and is being used or is going to be used soon?
It's going to be used soon, and we're doing a 3-year contract with them, so.
That's awesome. This is something that I personally have gotten my tookus reamed over as a liaison to a particular group. And so I'm glad that we are finally making the decision to move to this platform. But still.
This is also the fund where we account for mayor and city council travel, membership dues, training, and the like. Also for Maya's and mine, our positions, membership dues with City Managers Association or City Recorders Association. And I think that's about it for this fund, unless you had any other highlights, Maya, for administration?
No, I do not.
Okay.
Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes. Councilor Stearns?
I'm going to ask this probably question for everybody, so.
Yeah.
The question is, if you had more money, what would you do with it? And if it was less money, what would you have to cut? So it's kind of a general question I'm going to ask probably every fund.
Oh, every fund, okay.
I mean, just the idea is like, what would, if you had more money?
Yeah, which we don't.
How would it improve the city?
Yeah.
And what are we sacrificing with this budget and what are we keeping? I don't know if that makes sense.
I think in this area, for specifically Councilor Budget Committee Member Stearns, it would be, I know you have had a history with an assistant city manager. I think you're at the right size. Right now, I'm doing this by myself. That kind of assistant would be very healthy. I wouldn't recommend it be a city attorney. It's separate, independent city manager that's trained. And then a procurement specialist full-time. That would be another position. Moving this money out the door needs to be a focus, and we'll talk about it later with the capital improvement plan. For example, we have $30 million in projects right now and only spent $7 million of it. That money only gets more expensive as time goes on. Walnut's a big piece of it, and if you've driven by Walnut lately, oh my gosh, that street, you can see clear through. So finally, that was unlocked, but procurement is a real thing. There's attorneys involved, there's draft contracts, there's RFPs, it's a whole process, and we just don't have the bandwidth. Nobody's working on it full time. We have somebody part-time doing it for us. And then the other thing I would advise if I, won the lottery would be to have project managers. The jurisdiction I came with from before I started working here had about 20 of those, and they take a project from cradle to grave. It's their responsibility to make sure every piece of that Walnut Street project they own. And we don't have that here. We have no project managers and staff. So those are three that come to mind on my feet. Well, I didn't expect the question, so thank you.
Sorry about that, but I would like to say what would be,
okay, what
would gain the city?
What's the wish list, yeah.
Wish list.
Good.
If more money is available, and then the unspoken
question is, would the value that added be worth taking something from somebody, some other place? But I'm not gonna say that's the question, just something that I think we all need to think about is, by not giving you those positions, what is it costing us? And like that's a question I think needs to be asked for each fund, I think.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Maya. I'm going to ask Canby resident and new HR director Pete Wood to join us for page 48 through 52. Human resources, this is a whopping 2 FTE in this department, covering 100 FTE for the city. Very challenging. In previous jurisdictions, sometimes HR departments have what they call business partners for each department to help them through HR matters. It's actually a professional term. So it's just Pete and Teresa Spellman doing this work for us, and they're covering a lot of territory. They are the frontline negotiators with our unions through any grievances or contractual issues. They're constantly negotiating and working with the health insurance and benefits, deferred compensation, the 457 plans for the city. They are both recently completed the Police Association's contract and the ASME contract, and stay pretty busy running our safety committee. And so with that, I would like to just, you can see some highlights on page, sorry, I get there, 52 of their budget and how those 2 FTE, you see the 2.0 number, you'll start to get familiar with the rhythm of how this works. Personnel up top and material and services. I am trying to put a little coaching and executive training money in here, not just for the HR director, which it says, but for all the department head team. We had a retreat as department heads, and some organizational development money, if we had it, would be money well spent. To teamwork, working on how they work together, and just going forward. So that's kind of a little bit of a, it used to have 56,000 in it, and then it went to 32, and now we're down to about 10. So we really were shaving as much as we could to get that 23% ending fund balance for you. Mr. Wood, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, just a slight increase in liability. Oh, thanks, Randy. A slight increase in liability insurance. We are trying to increase our cyber protection for the city so that the last couple of years we've been at 100,000 for coverage, so we're going up to 1 million. And so you see that slight increase in liability insurance.
Any questions for
Any
HR?
questions?
2 columns, one on page 49. It says that city pays 0.6%, 1%, and employee pays 0.4%. My understanding of doing payroll is that normally it's for, unless it's different for municipalities, the employee should be paying 0.6% and the employer should be paying 0.4%. I don't know if it's different for the city or if that's just
You say we got it backwards?
You might. Unless there's something I know. Because usually we withhold 0.6%.
Well, the city pays based off the CPA for the police department, the city pays the 1% for all CPA members. So, but I'll get with Denise and confirm. Maybe I had that backwards, but.
Okay, I was just thinking that would just cost a little bit, and then, the medical, and this is sort of just, I know that page 49, I guess, about the total on there. And I know I could go and just math it out and divide that number by the number of employees, but I know it doesn't quite work out that way.
Yeah.
But having done a lot of tax returns on the W-2, there's a box DD that has employer contributions. And I know for a lot of times the city municipality workers have employer medical contributions that are higher than a lot of people's annual wages, in Canby. I'm wondering if there's efforts to find cheaper ways of doing medical insurance.
We just went through that, go.
Yeah, so I'm currently, so CIS, our insurance provider, did give us a warning about next year's insurance rates, right? And Randy kind of touched on it, 13.5% increase next year with Regents and 5% for Kaiser. So we are currently shopping health insurance, still working with our insurance company, still waiting on quotes to get back for next year.
Mayor Hudson, you had a question?
Yeah, I did. A couple of comments. One, to the insurance piece, I think every year that I've been on this budget committee, health insurance, the initial, we'll call it warning shot, has been 17 to 22% when we get into the budget conversation, and it settles, lower than that. But I think the numbers because we're seeing that as an employer as well, and that healthcare costs. The other piece, I appreciate the add-in for the leadership team development. It was something that had been, like you were alluding to, Randy, had been scraped away. I'm glad we're adding that back in because I think it's a crucial part for the leadership development piece and training for our team staff members. So I hope the budget committee, you're presenting us with a balanced budget with the targets that we've talked about, but if we start looking at things, I hope that this is something that we do not cut from going forward.
Councilor Patton?
One thing I will just throw out there as well is in past years, there has been sort of an understanding that there are some things in the budget that we have as a council or as a budget committee do not have a whole lot of control over. And those are things like health insurance and PERS. So when you look at those numbers, it is high and it is maybe unfortunate, but we cannot really touch those. Those are done through contract negotiations through the union. They are dictated by the state. And so essentially we grumble about it right out of the gate, but moving past that, there's really not much to do. So if someone is like, let's whack this, let's do that, that is just not a thing. Those things are outside of our purview.
Any other questions?
Councilor Stearns has one.
One more.
Yes.
So, based on what you're saying, if you had more money for your department, would you be able to use another HR person that worked with you? Or is the city, you think, doesn't?
I think so. To answer your question, I think right now, we're okay with 2 FTEs. I would use that money to what Randy said for, professional development. If we had more money for HR, and I would, my plan is hopefully this year or next year to try to get a class comp study done for the city as well prior to our, union negotiations scheduled for 2028.
Class comp schedule is code for recalibrating salaries, schedules. We got a bid and it was $100,000. So we're going to take a pass on that right now.
Any other questions? Okay.
All right, thanks, Pete. Next up is finance, and there, Denise, our new finance director, welcome aboard. Also a Canby resident, jumping right in. Major accomplishment right away was to work with her staff and Katie getting the fiscal year 25 audit complete for the city. Some of the things that they handle include payroll, the transit payroll tax for Canby area transit, business license, utility billing, all of our budgeting, our accounts receivables, our invoicing, And as I mentioned earlier, they help us with procuring contracts to do work. So that said, their budget is on page 53 through 55. Nice picture of the team. And page 55 is sort of, again, you're going to see that rhythm of personnel and then materials and services. They had some staff allocations allocated elsewhere, so they're down to 4.8. They spend a lot of time in different funds. And then anything that you would like to point out to draw to the committee's attention of your materials and services?
I don't think so.
It's pretty thin, M&S. They're a $945,000 operation with labor and materials and services. They don't bring any revenue to the city, so we charge other funds that they work in to help, which you'll learn about. We'll see a little bit later in the budget to cover those expenses.
Any questions?
Finance?
Yes, Ms. Thompson?
Press there. I just want to add a comment of thanks for, in the 25-26 highlights, completing the creation of process manuals for each positions, the daily tasks and duties. I know during my time of employment here that there were some situations and experiences where that would have come in very, very handy. And I know that it takes a lot of time, personally, having been through that, to actually do those sorts of things while you're still trying to do business. So I just want to say congratulations. That I'm sure that's going to be a very big help to the department.
Thank you. Yes, Mayor Hodson?
Apparently I need to move my mic closer so Gordon can hear me in the booth. Cassell was a very hot topic of conversation in the last 2 years. Is that still, are we working out the bugs with that? Have we improved usage? Are we looking at alternatives?
We will be starting to look at alternatives in the FY27 year, so I fully anticipate that it will be much more of a discussion this time next year. But we really need some time. Things have been a bit busy since I came on board between the audit and the budget, and I really want to get a grasp of Cassell and what it is doing and what it isn't doing, and then what else is out there. So it's not a quick decision. So we really feel like looking into that in FY27 is a great option. Starting to maybe move towards the change in FY28 is a much better idea.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Same question.
Oh, yes.
If you had more money, what would you do with it? And what are we missing by not having that money into your?
Probably if there were a little more money, maybe some more in training, but what we really need in finance, this will sound odd, is the gift of time. It's really been a fire hose since December, and there are so many things that we want to do that we can go ahead and do now that we don't need more money to do. We just need that time to get it done. So I don't really have a big wish list at this point.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Move on to the next unit. Court, page 56 through 58. We have a couple folks coming down, Jessica and Maya. Jessica supervises court. Really proud of the Canby court as a service to Canby. We talk about must-haves versus nice-to-haves, and I think you'll see in this discussion about the court that truly is a must-have. And the council and budget committee have placed a lot of value in the Canby Municipal Court. We have professional services, a judge, 2 defense attorneys, a prosecutor. We have security for safety and bailiffs. The court meets 2 days a month. It used to be 4 days per month. but but those were shorter meetings. They're working on thefts, DUIs, disorderly conducts, and those that were, I'll be diplomatic here, but possibly getting thrown out at the county level. So now having that back here, I don't want to speak for my team, but it's nice to have that aspect back in Canby. They serve underserved and diverse populations, so it's nice, and you'll notice in this budget that we're asking for some translation services, so it's like an iPad, as I understand it, where you can talk through and they can talk back to you, translated. That's for the three-pronged approach: the police department, the court, and the library. See Mrs. Ely back there smiling. Very frugal investment, in my opinion, for cost wise, but there's 3 devices, and we're going to test those out. Staffing wise in the court, there's 3 full-time employees. And before we conclude here, I wanted to give Jessica opportunity to amplify some neat stuff that's going on in our court based on some things that the council has approved.
Yeah, so starting in March, we actually partnered with the transit department to start sending some community service over to the transit department to work with them on cleaning buses, cleaning bus stops, various jobs. So that started in early March. We've already put 60 hours of community service into the city with another 150 outstanding so far. So it's been very successful. Heidi's been heading that up for us and doing a great job. They also are putting some work into the event on a weekend. It's a once-a-month event, Bridging Cultures in the park. So if somebody needs weekend work, they're going there, serving food, cleaning up the park, taking some of that work off of our parks department as well. It's been very successful so far.
And you want to talk about the amnesty program that you mentioned to me?
Yes. This year, we do plan on running a amnesty program for our accounts that are in collections. We have a very high amount of accounts in collections. In 2018, we ran an amnesty program that allowed certain individuals that qualified under some specifications to qualify for this program. That gave them a 50% discount on their collections balance if they were able to pay it in full. It brought in an additional $18,000 at that time of accounts that we probably would have never collected on. And we haven't done it since 2018, so I would like to run that again this year. And I think we could be more successful with just the advance in technology and social media, getting the word out on it. So.
Yes, Councilor Penn.
So with that amnesty program, if you, when you did the 50% discount, about how much, like what was the overall percentage that you kind of cleaned up with that? Was it 50-50 or was it higher than 50% or lower than 50%?
Well, I'd have to go back and look because it was a while ago, but I would say higher than 50%. The collections agency retained half of their interest. And so our principal balances when we send them to collections are pretty high with increased fees and everything from missing court typically. So we were collecting at least the principal balance, maybe with some discounted fees off of the top of it, but 50% I would say.
Okay, I was just thinking that if it wasn't more than half of what you were trying to get, perhaps making the program a little richer with a bigger reduction would hook more people and clean it off the books faster. Or whether there's some sort of tiered thing where if it's really old, we're going for less from them and so on and so forth. Something to try and maybe sweeten the pot a little bit more to get at least something rather than nothing forever.
Yeah, that's a great point. Something we're totally open to looking into, for sure.
Thank you.
Councilor Starnes.
If you had more money.
This question's for you.
2 things. One, I'm glad you're doing the community service program. That was, remember when I was young, I ended up paying off 3 traffic tickets with community service, and it was a good experience. But the question I'm asking, same as the other thing, is if you had more money, what would you do with it?
I would add our training back into our budget. We did have that cut out last year, and we haven't put it back into this one this year. There is one conference that we like to send 2 court clerks to every year for the Oregon Association of Court Administrators. So that would be something that I would add back into our budget. And also adding on to the CASEL topic of getting some more sophisticated court software that might allow us to go paperless at some point.
Would that save money if you had?
I think it could increase revenue because our programs have sent automated payment reminders and automated court date reminders to people. And the more notification that you can get to someone about a court date, the more likely they are to come and actually pay their ticket. So I think it could, as far as cost savings, increase revenue. And the paperless part of it would just be to keep up with technology, honestly, and to save space around the office.
Well, I'm very interested in things like that may have an upfront cost but save money maybe in the next budget or the budget after that. And it would be nice to get a figure on something like that and what would be the return on investment, estimated return on investment.
Go paperless?
Well, to get a software that would allow for, higher collections and stuff, because that is an example of something that, although costing money, sometimes saves money when you spend money. And one more question is, how is the processing times with the court going? I mean, what's the average time from, I guess, accusation or traffic law enforcement encounter to resolution of the case? Could that go quicker?
On misdemeanor matters, I would say we probably have, by the time they're cited, their court date's usually about 3 to 4 weeks after that. And with the defense attorneys that we have right now and our prosecutor, who are very invested, we're getting a pretty quick turnaround. So I would say within 6 weeks on the misdemeanor matters, people are typically sentenced, maybe 6 to 8 weeks. And then traffic, very few resets happening. So I would say within a 4-week period on traffic, there's some sort of a disposition on the citation.
So you don't see any bottlenecks there going on with that process? Okay.
No.
Thank you.
No.
So yeah, I think the other on the savings part could be on the efficiencies too of your guys' time, because if you're not having to manually send out emails and make phone calls and stuff like that, something that you could be doing that, using that time for something else.
Yes.
But also I'm kind of curious about the forecasting on the performances. So it's like they were kind of high in 24 and then they kind of went down in 25, and now we're projecting every year going up again. Kind of what's the process for like traffic violations, criminal charges, for the performance measures?
Oh, on for the actual numbers of violations and charges?
Yeah. So what's for the forecasting, the idea that we're going to be doing more cases?
I think we expect to see an increase in traffic every year just based on the city population increasing. But and the criminal charges, there was the difference because criminal court did go away for a while. So now it was ramping back up on that.
It went out and then we brought it back in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good question.
So, when you talk about training and training for your department, what is some of the benefit that you get out of training? I mean, I think sometimes we look at the admin positions and we might think that, thank you, that was nice, that perhaps it's maybe more routine and less technical and expertise related. But because I worked with you in the past, I know that's not true. Maybe you'd like to talk about that to validate adding that back into your budget.
Sure. The conference that we do attend every year, or would like to attend every year again, it has a large part of it is legislative updates, hearing from a judge or two from the area with different updates from the law and stuff going through legislation. Also, DMV runs a panel there every year that has necessary information for it to get back to us court clerks. Those are constant changes in DMV policies, including what they will and will not put on somebody's driving record or form changes. Another large part is just networking with other court administrators. Every court runs things differently, and I personally know that I've come away from that conference and developed new programs within our court based on what other courts are doing. So those three things are huge for us as far as continuing to grow as a court.
Any other questions? Yes, Mr. Stearns? Counselor Stearns.
I was just wondering, I'm intrigued enough by what she's saying about what could be done with a little bit more on their budget, that maybe we could put that on maybe the bubble list, and then maybe if you could come up with some harder numbers between now and the end of the period.
Yes.
Speaking to the bubble list, I've been making a note of everybody's little wish list items. So I'm wondering what the committee feels like. Do we want them to come back with value add and cost assumptions? And then next meeting make an ask for these things? Or do you want just specific items? I mean, I can make a list of everything that they're saying on your wish list. If they can come back with what it would cost and what the value add is, then we can make some decisions next meeting. Does that sound like something we want?
Well, I'd like to like hear what they say, and if they say something that intrigues us, then a budget committee member would say, bubble that, any one of us, just, and then do it that way. Because obviously asking an open-ended wish list question, maybe I want more marshmallows or something.
Well, I'm seeing some head nods.
And that
This is
includes
something
your
actually
memberships
probably
and
Randy
everything
could
to be
get
able to
back
go
to
to
us
the
in an
conference.
email form
So.
before the next meeting of what the value add and cost would be. What consensus, do we want this list?
Yes.
Okay, I will continue making the list.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you both.
All right.
Okay. Next pages 60 through 64 are planning and building.
Madam Chair, if I may, we're an hour and 40-some minutes in. Maybe it would be good to take a bio break for folks because I know this one's going to be pretty beefy.
Yep.
So we might want to take a break.
Wants to keep it short.
All right.
Oh, Don, silly Don.
Okay. We can do that. Potty break, there you go.
All right. Oh, excuse me. All right, Canby, we are back with planning.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I direct your attention, if I could, to planning on pages 60 and 61. We'll cover maybe a twofer on this because it's such a popular topic. Not only that one, but the next one on page 62 through 64, the building department. I have Don Hardy, our planning director, with us this evening, and I wanted to express kudos to Mr. Hardy and his team. Just a fantastic group of planners that are maintaining good relationships with ODOT and DLCD in particular, the state agencies that sort of govern some of this work that they've been up to. Updating, like I said, over approximately 24 plans, some of which are dating back to 1981, the comprehensive plan, which was just updated on May of 2026. The Canby Urban Growth Boundary adoption is coming forward, anticipated December of 2026. Transportation System Master Plan from 2010 will be updated May 2026. Just to name a few, community visioning plan, et cetera. So shout out to Canby's lean planning department and building department and city council for providing the revenue to be able to, with grant funds from the state, to get these long-term plans underway and updated and refreshed as we look 20, 30 years out in Canby's future. What do we want to become and retain that small town charm? That said, a couple exciting things in this budget. We approved 90 housing units last year. We're projecting 75 single-family homes this year. It's a little down from 150 years in the past. We were successful in getting will serve letters from Canby Utility to 3 major developments. City Council is very helpful in that. The Trammell Crow project down on Sequoia, the Fairgrounds, OLCC, and a company called BBC Steel. As part of the urban growth boundary expansion, looking out 20 years, that'll be 73 new acres for residential parks, and then a 350 additional acres for employment. And they're doing concept planning for that right now. There is a lot to unpack here. I know you're going to have a lot of questions, but Don, anything you want to amplify your good work and your team?
Thank you, Randy. I think you covered it well. I'm happy to dive into questions that you all have. We have been we've benefited greatly from grants that we've received from ODOT and from DLCD. That they've been great partners, and we would not be doing urban growth boundary expansion and urban growth boundary concept planning without their support. They've been at the table with us. That's been really appreciated. Canby is a growing community, as you all know. Growth is something that you have to plan for and manage. There's the character issue that Canby really strives to maintain, and I think part of that is looking forward into the future for planning. And looking at what that growth is going to be. And I think that's part of what we're doing is forecasting what that looks like. We are more or less part of the metro area. I mean, we're not technically in metro, and that's not intended to be ever really the case here, but we are influenced by that significantly. Lots of people from Canby drive into Portland every day. Lots of people from outside Canby drive into Canby for employment. Job housing balance, I think, is something that's important here, to have high wage jobs that are associated with jobs that hopefully can pay for someone to live here. And Randy talked briefly about housing prices, and they are very high. Canby's a very desirable place to live. So the idea is to have diversified housing that is here to provide for folks, especially families, that can support the schools here and support the great demographic trends that have happened historically, and to continue to have that, because I think the demographics are in play here for the future of Canby, and the planning of Canby is, and I think the school is a little bit of a litmus test to that, which is folks just generally are not having as many kids, and that's across the entire metro area. But secondly, I think it's just the housing affordability is a really critical factor to having families move into Canby. It's great to have executives move in. It's great to have empty nesters move into Canby, but if there's not the families, there's not going to be the kids, and the schools are going to have continued challenges. So that's really part of the goal here as well, as we continue to look at the urban growth boundary and the kind of housing that would be hopefully provided, that will provide a better balance for that. And we have limited influences. We don't control the market factors. There's many that are out there, but to the extent that we can control those, we're working on that as well. So just added that in. And if you all have questions, happy to dive into any part of the reports that you want to talk about.
Are there any questions?
Yes.
Mr. Kenton.
What are some of the market factors that you think Canby or the planning department specifically can?
I mean, I think part of that is, looking at, it's very expensive to, entry-level homes are super expensive. So the front end of that, and Randy and I were fortunate to have a meeting with Canby Realtors recently and did a presentation before them. And I think some of those are really, just, the entry price for a home, in terms of like getting the financial pieces of that together. We talked a lot about, having daycare and those kinds of things. And so I think that could be, just thinking outside the box, the former Canby Adult Center, that would be an option possibly to look at, what could there be done for public-private partnerships or those kinds of things. That's something tangible that I think the city could do. The city's not really in a position where we can be a bank of sorts. There might be ways, however, to offset or do payment plans for system development charges over time where there are tools available that would give that first-time home buyer or someone that's trying to come in that may not be a first time the leverage to be able to afford the payment plans that would actually allow them to do that. But those are the kinds of things that are more broadly probably council discussions in the future. I know council is very interested in how do we solve this issue for, providing homes that aren't just, way out of reach of the average person. And it's kind of shocking. And Randy, he drives around and he pulls the flags up and looks at those and brings them in. I was like, I didn't really want to see that because it was way beyond my wildest dreams. It's like a subdivision that just got approved. That can't be that expensive for a 2,300 square foot home. These are not 4,500 square foot homes. And that's kind of what you're expecting the price to be for something way bigger. And so that, there does need to be something done there. We cannot control the price of the land. That's clearly not something we can do. We can control the system development charge piece of that. We can control the permit process, which is ever escalating in terms of the state pressure for us to do it faster and more quickly. And administratively, really where all that is going is a large part of what the Planning Commission is doing in terms of residential development with especially the Senate and House bills that are going to be effective July 1. Essentially, most of the residential pieces are not going to have any hearings at all. They're just that, and some of that is expediting that. There's a bit of this rub on home rule, though, about, giving someone notice. So there's a bit of that tension going on. So the timing, I don't think there's a lot more we can do on the timing of the permit stuff because that stuff's really happening rapidly. And in some ways, by state directive, saying that, hearings are really not going to be required any longer. They'll be done administratively. Still a review, but they won't be through a public hearing process. Those are just some of the ideas. I think, part of that is diversified housing, having planned unit developments and things like cottage clusters mixed in with those and having different housing types and styles. And we have codes that have actually been amended to allow that. We've not really seen that happen yet, but I think we might start seeing some more of that in the near future where developers may take that and look at that more seriously. You make a lot more money on a bigger home as a developer. And so there has to be this kind of incentive, has to be the right developer to look at that.
Councilor Patton.
Yes, thank you, Don. You guys, you and your staff have done an amazing job with guiding us through all of these plans. It's been incredible. One of the things that was sort of foregone last year, and I know that we've gotten a grant for it and stuff, was the code updates. And it was mentioned that the code updates would be more emphasized in this year's budget than last year's. But when I look through this, I don't see a specific line item for code updates. Is it somewhere else in the budget and I've missed it, or where is that?
There's a code on it, which you all just approved about 2 months ago and that budget was set aside last year. And as you might recall, and it's in the minutes from last year, there's a portional part of what was asked for last year for that audit. We matched that with DLCD funding. We just started that work. We actually had a kickoff meeting today on that with our consultants. So that work is underway.
So page 61, professional technical services. I just didn't call it out in the narrative. It's the 3J rollover there.
Oh, okay.
So that just started, and so there's a part of that is for that code, the code audit, and then the code update would follow that.
Okay.
And that's absolutely necessary, and we get that. I mean, it's really important. We're not only the pressure from the state on having to retool the entire code, which is not really in large part consistent with state procedures right now, which is a real struggle. But it's necessary in addition to provide those tools for greater housing. Some of those exist right now. So it's not like there aren't any, but I think we're going to have stakeholder interviews. We're going to have committees. We're going to have folks that are in the building industry that are there and in the community as well, of full representation. But, what is needed, kind of a housing summit of sorts to try to talk about that in more detail. And Ryan Potter, our planning manager, is going to lead that up.
Excellent. And I did want to just throw something out here. We talk a lot about the give and take of, people moving into Canby, the house is becoming more expensive, the city growing and stuff. And I always bring it back to where I grew up in Western New York. And I've shared this information with some people, but just to put something in perspective for you, Belmont, New York, which is essentially the Oregon City of the county I grew up in. Just a few weeks ago, a friend of mine sent me a listing for a property there. It was the old Belmont High School. It sits on 3.9 acres of land, and the building itself is 90,000 square feet. The listing price, $244,000.
Holy cow.
Okay? $240,000 for 3.9 acres of land with a 90,000 square foot school and everything that would come with it, not furniture, but it's essentially an operational building. So, and it's still for sale, and it's been for sale for a while. So
is he trying to get you to move back home?
No, it will not happen. But just to put it in perspective, Canby, even though we have this growth, it hurts at times, though that is the alternative. And I hope that the city never experiences something like that.
All right, Councilor Waterman.
So I think I was telling some other people here, I have some of my children were looking to purchase a house here in Canby, and they were not able to. They had to go elsewhere. But in doing a lot of research and reading articles and talking to like the builders association, stuff like that, everybody, they seem to say the big, like one of the top things is streamline the process. That seems like a very broad thing, but streamline the process, and that will help bring the cost down. And so from our standpoint, is that what does that mean to Canby? What does that mean to us? Does it mean, obviously, I think the code updates probably would help streamline the process. They'd understand what they're doing better, more opportunities. What else is there? You kind of touched on a little bit, saying we're kind of going as fast as we can. So what does streamlining mean there?
I think the sound bites from the Democrats and the Republicans that are running for governor are the same. And that's an easy tangential kind of aspect, and I'm not downplaying that, but we are expediting the permit process. There has to be a review process, and it has to go through, the notification, et cetera. I think that's one thing that the government feels like they have a bit of control over. I think it's a bit overemphasized in my experience collectively. Yes, permitting timing is critical. But I would say there are many other factors that are involved with that. I mean, we're continuing to do this quicker and quicker, and there's more and more state mandates around it. It's not like we're just waiting around to let these things linger. It does take time to go through, but I think there's also a reason for that as well. So, really it's about health, safety, and, you're dealing with somebody's building that hopefully they'll live in the rest of their lives as well. So, I mean, that's part of that balance here is I think there's this perception that folks in the government are just taking a heck of a long time to go through a permit process, and that's not really true, to be honest. I mean, that's just not the case in Canby anyway. I just, I've been on the other side as a consultant, and I've seen the other side of this as well, and I've seen jurisdictions that do linger and take forever. We are not one of those jurisdictions.
So would it be for Canby to be in our position now, is it like a county thing or a state thing if we're saying we're doing everything we can?
Well, I think it's one, I mean, we can continue to help, I think, in the process of collectively working with it. I'd say the best thing we could do is work collectively with the other agencies that we're working with. Canby Utility is a separate entity from us. How do we work better with them? How do we work better with Canby Fire? How can we work better with the building department that reviews everything that we do and we go through that process? Are there ways that those things could be coordinated better and more collectively? I think the realities, I've done this more than 30 years, the realities of it takes time to get through the process, and that by itself, yes, it's important, but there are way many other factors that are involved here. Interest rates are critical. I think part of that is really a driver a lot more so than how quickly we get through the process. I work with the directors of all the counties here in Clackamas County. We meet about every 2 months online, and one of the planning directors said, he said he talked to the builders and they said whether I get something done in a week faster or not is not going to influence the price of a home. I mean, it's those kinds of things are not really, they're important, but they're not the driver, So I'm not saying it's not important, and we're focusing on it, but I think the emphasis is folks that are trying to get elected. That's a big soundbite about pointing to a cause, which I think is only a part of the situation.
Mr. Varwick, you had a question.
So being in the industry, I have a little bit of insight on it.
Yeah.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but all of our permitting goes through the county, correct?
It does to the building.
So all of our inspectors are county inspectors.
They
right?
are, yeah.
So I know that one of the costs that drives prices up is time held, right? The longer that a developer holds a property, the more it costs them because they're borrowing money at a high interest rate. And so that's bringing up a lot of prices. And so kind of going to the question that I know that Councilor Stearns is going to ask you, if you had more money, what would you add? Do you think that ever bringing permitting process and inspections into the city versus going through the county, would that help speed things up or would that make it more difficult?
I think it might speed it up. The challenge is the land base where you have building departments, and my understanding is in 2012 we laid off the building part of our staff here.
He retired. The inspector guy.
Retired, okay.
Yeah.
But that department went away essentially, and I think part of this is, and that may have been a downturn, or I'm not sure what the circumstances were. The land base is critical. Now, we are doing the urban growth boundary expansion, but is that enough to keep because building is directly related to that. And so those ebbs and flows and that, I mean, I've seen this across industry where, they're the first ones that end up getting laid off in that equation because they're directly related to construction, whereas planning kind of just continuous, you can plan all the time. Building is really related. I think it would speed that up a bit. I would be concerned about the adequacy of the land base that we would have to sustain those people. Now, on the wish list part, which I think is a great question, question. We do not have a great permit tracking system, and that would be one thing that would be really helpful for us. It would be helpful for the applicants, and that could speed up the process overall. We are working with the county. They have a development direct system for building permits, but we do not have a land use permit system that ends up integrating and interfacing with the development community. And that would be something that would be valuable in that light. And another item that is part of that wish list would be, Ryan and I were just talking in having an interactive online mapping system that the public could use as well. So we don't have that either. There's C-maps, but it has limitations, and that's, really meant for folks that live in the county. It's not really meant for people that are in cities. And so those two things I think would help, and that would be part of that communication and, what's the status of my permit and that kind of thing. And I think that would help folks understand where we're at in the process. It would help the community as well. Like, is there a development in my area? Where is that? What's my zoning? I think that part we have a bit of an antiquated system here for the permit process. It works. Now that's a pretty big lift as well. So I guess I would ask, in the sense of coming back and reporting back what those costs are, indexing them to what we think might be a realistic timeline. I think there's things now for this budget that probably is not realistic, because it's going to take time to investigate that, and it may end up being beneficial to talk to Denise about her needs for finance. And then that system that we would set up should interface with Public Works, because they're separate buildings from us, and that would be great because they have permits as well that they're running as well as we're running. So that would be helpful.
Councilor Patton and then Mrs. Thompson.
So a couple of things. One is, because this is essentially coming up now about, really how long does it take? Would it be too much of a lift to say, this is how long a permit for a single-family home takes when it comes to Canby, for like a industrial business or a warehouse, or pick 3 or 4 different things to say, from the time we get the application to the time things are ready to go, this is how long it takes, and then get some data on how long it takes for other cities in our area. So that way, when the question comes up to say, well, if only blah, 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 then we can say, well, that's all well and good, but we have a process that's 4 months shorter than Wilsonville. And so, like, what more do you want, right? So that might be good to have that data in the back of the pocket ready to go. And when it comes to the building department, I was around for that mess. And essentially, what I remember of it was the building department had a certain amount of funds in it. And then when there was no more revenue coming in, they just continued to employ people until they sucked all the money out of it. And then then it was done. And I have no interest in doing that. So unless we get 1,500 acres of land into the comprehensive plan to be able to, be developed, then I would be for looking at something like that. But I am not a fan of looking at bringing building back into the city.
Mrs. Thompson.
Gotta press that thing down. So I was here as well, as you two were during that period of time. And as I recall, there was a retirement, but as a result of that, the decision was made to contract out with the county. And the county at the time, powers that be there, said, once we take it, we're not giving it back. Not in so many words, but essentially that was it. And my understanding was there was some kind of either legislative or rulemaking sort of situation about that it wasn't then just saying we don't want to go to all this trouble and so please don't take it back. So it might even be a non-starter anyway from that perspective, but I clearly remember that being said. The other thing I wanted to ask about is when I look up here, these grants were integral to doing the urban growth boundary process. It would have been stalled. We wouldn't be able to do it down here. Range plans, long range plans project, very challenging, and maintaining planning staff important, all those sorts of things. Just want to make sure, is there enough money? I mean, you've isolated kind of what you know is going to be coming up, right? And where you want to spend that. But I would imagine if grant funding doesn't come in, and especially with the pressures that your department faces, that you'd want to be ready to put some money in to something you might need to do
Well,
in
that's
that regard.
part of the wish list again. That would be
Okay.
for next fiscal year. But
All right.
if we don't get the grant for the code update, not the audit is paid for, but if we don't get the money, we will be coming back next year for the full update, and that would be part of our wish list.
So
So far the money's still coming in from the state. I mean, I don't know when that's going to stop, but it's a great point.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to mention it.
Yeah, thank you.
And Councilor Stearns.
Well, Sean already asked my question, but just as far as the price of houses in the area, I think, and it's not something we can do about, but everybody should be at least aware of the vast difference per acre of the price of something inside your urban growth boundary versus outside the urban growth boundary. So I think that is one of the biggest drivers of price, is the state of Oregon has deliberately restricted the supply of land. Now, that's a legislative fix, but as far as urban growth boundary increases is probably one of the best things the city can do to increase the supply of land in the city. But as you look at the prices, have you ever got real estate price outside versus inside, and you'll see it's not an accident that the prices are that much different due to an artificial boundary that somebody drew on a map.
And I just want to reflect that as well. Some states, our neighbors to the north and south, do put market factors into their growth equations. We do not. And Oregon does not factor in really essentially land supply to the degree that the neighboring states put that in. I'm not saying their prices are lower, but it is a factor. Market availability of land is a factor, and I would argue is a stronger factor than how fast we review permit processes. And I think I would be correct on that if you were to do the assessment of that.
Are there any other questions?
I'll just add that for parking lot, for future discussions to get to the cost of housing, the council could entertain conversations about getting really targeted at what we learned from these realtors. Some of these folks are carrying $5,000 a month mortgages. But if you wanted to, not suggesting this, but if you wanted to stand up a program targeted towards first-time home buyers legally, smaller square footage, you can do things that have been done before, but you could brand yourself as a welcoming city to first-time home buyers by paying closing costs, buying down interest rate points, waiving SDCs, incentivizing developers and builders to build smaller square footage maybe as a starter home. Not suggesting we do that, but those are some working with your business community to pay relocation costs if they get hired to work here in Canby, to move here. So there's some tricks out there that you could look into if you really wanted to drill down into that. But not suggesting that as part of this budget or for tonight.
I did want to, Commissioner Patton's question, I think that's a great idea for tracking and seeing where we are index-wise. And I think with the current House bill and Senate bill that's coming in, it's probably a good time to do that because the playing field's been leveled. Metro jurisdictions had other requirements on top of what we had previously, but now everybody's pretty much equal. So I think it would be good as an index to say how quickly are we doing our work as a measurement. I want to make us as efficient as we can be and to get through the process. I also want to make sure that at the end of the day we're doing our due diligence and our responsibility here, which is to the buyer in the end, that they're getting what they should be getting in the end of the process.
Okay.
Yep. The other fund, I don't know that we need to dive into it, just a couple of pages, is the building department. Page 62 through 64. This is where construction excise tax is collected per square foot, $1. That's pretty prescribed and prescriptive. Very few cities, or a handful of cities that are in our area actually employ this, but then you can see the revenue line item for building permits. Proposing a bit of a spike there, Don, 175,000 for the next fiscal year on building permit activity. And we currently negotiate, as you guys have all pointed out earlier tonight, an 88 to 12% split with the county to do our building permit work. So that $145,000 represents 12%. So if you do the math on that, that's what the county's taking to do this for us. And I understand that we're one of the only ones, Don, that's learned that's still on that kind of a formula. Everybody else just gives everything to the county to do this.
I just recently spoke with a building official at the county, and that is correct. Malala is actually not getting anything back. They're in a similar program that we are. Other jurisdictions have building departments, but they outsource the plumbing and electrical. Happy Valley is one of those. They're on a different schedule than we are. The one silver lining looks like the county for the first time has increased their building permit fees. Ours were always higher, and I'm not sure how those were set because that predated me, but they were set in a way that we were using our fees because they were always higher than theirs, but they've just readjusted those. We're getting some more information. We're hoping to bake that into the master fee schedule for adoption this year as well. I first want to hear back from them to say they are higher, and that would actually increase this number a bit more for us.
Thank you.
Council President Hensley.
Thank you. Is it my understanding this is the first year we're going to implement this construction excise tax? Are other jurisdictions doing that, or are we
we're just
like the anomaly there?
This is a program that was very visionary, whoever put this together in 1994. It predates all the other current construction excise taxes, which if you look at the ones that were done from like 2012, about 99% of those have to go to affordable housing. This is unrestricted funds, but we can never increase this amount unless we want 99% of it to go to affordable housing. That is a policy decision and a choice. But right now, that money comes directly to us and can be used across the board. It's being line item in building because that's where it's being collected from, but it is unrestricted.
Okay.
I say don't poke the badger on either of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Shove my face hole.
This one.
All right.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Don.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Great job. Thanks.
So do we need to talk about time and how much more time?
9 o'clock. I'll leave that to the pleasure of the chair and the budget committee, but the council has a policy of a hard stop at 9 o'clock unless they vote to extend. Legal counsel's told me that you guys have flexibility on that if you'd like. So it's up to you. It's at the pleasure of you guys how long you want to go tonight.
I think 3 hours of numbers is enough for any individual.
Another half hour.
All right. Is that good with everybody? Okay. All right.
Okay, let's move to page 66 on your budget. 66, this is the Canby Police Department. And I'd like to call up Chief George Troe, retiring after 30 years of service to Canby. Thank you.
So that means be nice during the budget meeting?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, Chief Troe is a huge baseball fan, loves the Dodgers, so we got him a little package of Cracker Jacks tonight so he can enjoy his retirement. I I don't want to tell you how hard it was to find those Cracker Jacks today in Canby, but we found them across the street, actually. At
Your
Cub
last
Sports.
budget meeting, George.
Yeah.
No kidding.
I could do a typical update, but I think in honor of Chief Tro being his last year, I'll let him
Wow.
just go for
I
it.
like that you were doing it. Okay, I'll just go over a few things. A couple highlights over last year. Again, rated third safest city in Oregon, a population over 10,000. Hopefully we'll continue that trend. We launched our online crime reporting system, which has been actually really well received in the community. So people could go right online and report minor crimes or code violations to us. I'm going to say this, I am happy to say we are full staff as of today. Last time I said that, I think in the next week somebody quit on us. So hopefully that doesn't happen, but that is a big thing. I was just at the Chiefs Police Conference in Pendleton, and one of the things they talk about is hiring and retention of officers, and hardly any department in the state is full staff. So we should be very proud that we're full staff for a number of reasons. But a couple of things that was a big hit this year, we added a comfort support dog, canine named Sugar, huge hit in the community and in the city. And then the other thing is we just got, actually just tonight, we got our reaccreditation award at the annual banquet for the Chiefs of Police, and Jose and James Murphy are there receiving it, and I just got a picture of them receiving their award. So that's a lot of work. It's 3 years in the making, and it's a complete audit of your police department, policies, procedures, and making sure you're doing it right. So we'll have to do that again in 3 years, but that was big. As far as budget, we're pretty much staying the same. Staffing, we're not adding any personnel. We still have 29 sworn officers, 6 non-sworn officers, and that includes 2 record clerks, an admin supervisor, a property evidence tech, code enforcement, and a behavioral health clinician, which has been a huge success in our community. Puts us right again at 1.5 officers per 1,000, which is a great average for us to be at. Our call loads continue to be steady. It's close to 15,000 calls a year, and couple reminders, we have 2 SROs. One of them is paid for by the school, almost entirety of one, 50% of each of them. The other thing is our behavioral health clinician, 30% is paid for by the city of Molalla on a grant. And then we also have about $120,000 in grants that we've received over this next year. A couple little minor increases. County dispatch fees went up about $19,000. Radio fees went up about $4,000. Originally, I had proposed 3 replacement patrol vehicles. If you remember, last year I had asked for 2 and we cut 1, so we had 1. So I was replacing that 1, but we did cut 1, so I'm only asking for 2 this year. Other than that, I think that's about it.
This is also where we track our opioid settlement revenue, and finance reports to me that, as you all have heard in previous budgets, cities are dispersed some opioid mental health type dollars from a settlement. From year to year, you never know what you're going to get, crystal ball kind of thing from year to year. But we've saved up approximately $198,000, I'm told. Then that would be a policy decision on how to use that. There's some guardrails on that, so we're going to offline that. I know Councilor Hensley is pretty well connected to that programming, and Chief has some ideas for some uses for that.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, you have a question. And then Council President.
Okay.
By rank, I guess.
So the 30% the Molalla pays.
Yes.
That is a short-term.
It's a three-year grant, and this year is the third year of that grant. Okay. So that following year, Molalla will either have to pay for it itself if they want to continue that, or try to get another grant.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was one of my questions, when was that going to expire? The other piece is, I just wanted to let Randy know that I did get that exhibit from the county, so I will be emailing that to you as soon as I finish the wish list email. I'll email that to you so you know what the permitted expenditures for those opioid dollars are.
Perfect.
I have that from the county in my email.
Thanks.
Right, and Mr. Varwick.
Few things. First of all, George, thank you so much for your service to our city. You are a true Canby treasure.
Thank you.
And your presence on the police force, I know, will be missed, but hopefully we'll still see you around the community.
Absolutely.
Second thing, go Giants. I won't get to say that very often.
They are playing right now.
And then the third thing, you mentioned the challenges, and you brought it up, the SRO, and obviously funding with the school district is a key piece of that, right? So tell us what happens to that SRO if we don't have that funding from the school district to continue paying that. Do we lose that position, that FTE, or do we fix that or find a different place to pay for that?
Great question. The school is committed to both SROs, and my understanding with conversations with the superintendent and other board members is they are committed to keeping those SROs in the school.
Even if the levy were to not pass next week.
Anything could change, but yes, that
But it's
is
still committed to that.
what they're committed to. Yes.
And Mrs. Thompson.
Which really is a testament to our SROs. They are fantastic. Those two SROs, Y and Wohlers, are amazing. They really are.
I had a question about the TriMet, hoping to engage with TriMet. Can you
Yes.
talk a little bit about how that, I assume it's an offset where they will pay for it?
Absolutely, yes. So this is something we were hoping to do in this fiscal year, but it didn't pan out. So one of the things is TriMet is trying to establish is law enforcement in Clackamas County, because there isn't any right now on the TriMet. So TriMet approached several cities in Clackamas County about forming a team that just stays in Clackamas County, not goes into Multnomah County, to enforce those laws. And you're correct, they pay 105% of the reimbursement for the position.
You might want to talk a little bit about why that's important. I mean, TriMet has nothing to do with us, but why that's important to the department.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. That's a great question. So a couple things. One, some of our citizens use public transportation, right? So I think to keep public transportation and the TriMet safe is good. And then the other thing, it gives opportunity for our officers to do something else, and that's a big piece of retention. We're a small department. I myself, when I started here, I actually left after 2 years because I wanted more action and something else to do. And then I got recruited back a couple years later. And one of the things that we really try to do is give officers opportunities to do different things. And this is something that's different that actually brings in money to the city. Because one of the things is we would probably send like a 5-year officer there and hire a new recruit. So they'll pay for that 5-year officer, right? Let's say $200,000, right? And a new recruit will cost $150,000. So really we're gaining about another $50,000 to our budget, which is really nice. And the other part is that it will actually work with other departments, so that working relationship with other jurisdictions and other departments is really beneficial, not only to the officer, but to us.
I knew that, but I thought it was important for other people.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for
The
asking.
other question that I had was regarding the retention. Do you anticipate, I know you haven't had those discussions yet with HR, needing any money in terms of the retention ideas? Are you too far?
Yeah, I don't think
really discussing that yet.
Yeah, no, I don't think really money for the retention. You know, I mean, I think our last contract is situated well. We're well within the averages of other departments in the metro area. It's really about, I think, giving those opportunities to officers and recognizing them and having them, you know, want to stay here. And we really do have a good job of officers staying here. Other departments, Captain Gonzalez got a call the other day from a guy from Portland, and from Portland Police Bureau, and he was like, you know, when I retire, I want to come to Canby to work, right? And Jose said, well, why Canby? He goes, because you guys are never hiring, so that says something. And it really does, right? I mean, a lot of agencies are always hiring because people are leaving. So we have a pretty good retention rate, but that's something that we got to keep on. Yeah.
Counselor Stearns, do you have your question?
So if you had more money,
What would be that? That is an easy question for me. I was just talking to Mayor Hodson at the break about it. I would want a helicopter. No, just kidding. So this is something that I personally asked for the 5 years that I've been chief, but it's something that we really need to keep an eye on is I would love to see 24-hour supervision in our department and 3-officer minimum. So right now, we do not have 24-hour supervision, and we do not have 3-officer minimum. We have a 2-officer minimum. And both of those, right, I think are very important. It's something to strive for because one, right, 24-hour supervision reduces liability. Having a 3-officer minimum increases safety to our officers and to the public. 2 officers is not enough. That was the same minimum when I started 30 and a half years ago. Same exact minimum. We are a growing city. We're bigger. We really need 3 officers because when one officer's at the jail or on a call and there's another call, I mean, we just need someone else there. But
so how many more staff would that take?
Great question. 3 officers, 1 sergeant and 2 patrol officers to get there.
Any other questions? Yes, Counselor Patton.
So I would just say, and I've mentioned this a few times, is that every year, and kudos to the police department for all that they do, and there's a reason that, and they're one of the key reasons why the Canby gets the Safe Cities Award perpetually, which is huge. When you look at the pie charts that are baked into our presentation every year, the wedge that goes to police gets bigger and bigger, and all of the other wedges get smaller and smaller. And I've said that eventually one day, the police will be paving the streets, and they will be running the library, and they will be the city administrator, and all of these things. So as we begin to go down the road of talking about increasing revenue, this is something that we need to be thinking about, because those 3 officers, to get to that level, would really make that pie chunk get way, way bigger. So as we as city council, as you as members of the budget committee go out into the community and have these conversations, it's good to query those folks and say, what are your thoughts on whether it's a public safety levy or something along those lines? Because essentially that is what it's going to take.
We're going to put a chart up to that, Counselor, the fact right now. And you can't read it, of course, sorry.
It's very small.
That is a list of other cities in Oregon that are exploring with their communities and have put in place other types of fees or levies. And I have copies of that available on the table over there. But there's even a page 2, not just a page 1, but anything from parks to streets to public safety, general admin. This is an Oregon inventory. And so Chief Tro actually had his staff do this research, so.
Yeah, there's a lot of departments, and actually today at lunch, I was talking to the chief of Milwaukee, and they recently put a public safety fee, and with that public safety fee, they added 3 officers to their staff. And it's through the utility billing.
Was it?
I think it was right around $5, somewhere around there.
Not to interrupt, but some of the money went to the library too.
Thank you.
There we go.
There you go.
Mrs. Ely.
I'm not saying I want that, I'm just saying.
Well, certainly part of the conversation.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. It's seriously been an honor and a pleasure to serve the city. It means a lot to me.
Going to be very hard to replace. We have working with HR on panels that start next week, 7 candidates, 5 of which are from Oregon. and 2 out of state. Obviously, we have a panel of police chiefs who are coming in as part of the interview based on Chief Tro's reputation and brand. So that's one panel. Then there's a community stakeholder panel. And then there's going to be a community night. So there's 3 different steps. So thanks to Mr. Wood and HR and Chief for putting all that together so we can hopefully, Chief Tro is retiring July 10?
Yes.
So he actually has a countdown on his phone that counts every second.
Did Brent do that too?
It's kind of funny. So anyway, enough said on that. For the pleasure of the chair, we can move into other areas of the budget or adjourn. We have parks and cemetery, economic development, and those are 3 of the final remaining general fund units. If you want to knock those out tonight, we can, and then save special revenue funds like the library and others for the next night.
Can we knock those 4 out quickly? I mean,
Yeah.
Spencer, how fast can you talk?
We love to talk about parks with you.
All right.
And
We get 20 minutes.
Yeah, there's 20 minutes. Okay, page 72 through 75. Spencer is right now supervisor in Public Works, and Parks rolls up to Spencer. Todd Wood up there is your interim Public Works director. And so basically draw your attention as you listen to me talk a little bit here to page 74. That's our revenue and personnel. And then page 75 is all the materials and services in the Parks Fund. Currently, we're kind of struggling down there. We've only got about four great people, position fills. One is starting in 2 weeks. A lot to Spencer here. We stole an excellent employee from Canby School District, I understand, who's going to start. So very grateful to your efforts, and Jennifer's already called me about that one. And then 2 vacant positions after that. So retention and succession, you've heard that time and time again tonight. Spencer wants to really focus on that in the Parks Fund. Concerns ahead, we're always forecasting that parks maintenance fee, which is a true jewel that Canby enjoys. Again, I'm on pages 72 through 75. That sunsets next year. So council is going to, and the Parks Commission are going to have to make a decision on that. That is for parks maintenance. And we're really working at making sure that money gets allocated so we don't have a lot of deferred maintenance. I've heard people that have been to Waite Park lately and said, could use a little TLC. Over at Maple, we're looking at different things we can do there. Connecting with the necklace, the emerald necklace it's called, walking trails from neighborhood to neighborhood in Canby. Low-hanging fruit. Really like to get after that with some more capacity in the Parks Department. Chief Tro brought an idea to us based on some safety concerns that they've had that we have put in this budget, which is purchasing a kiosk, paid parking, not for Canby residents, for visitors at the community park that Chief Tro and his force could help patrol. It's a safety concern at community park. You can't get in and out of there, 1 lane of traffic. This would help, and then maybe generate a little money for the Parks Department. And he assures us that the PD would enforce that, and that Canby residents would not be charged for parking at that park. I will ask Spencer, before we get into some other details, we are working very closely. One thing that might alarm you, if you look at this closely on page 75, under capital outlay, there's really not a lot in there at this point, because Councilor Davis is the liaison to our Parks and Rec Committee, and we're working very closely with them on trying to accurately pick what we can get after in the coming year. So we will transfer money into there from the general fund, from the parks maintenance fee, to tackle doable projects. What I mean by that is that we had $1 million that was set to go in last budget, and it just wasn't scalable for a number of reasons at Maple. So we want to get more targeted, more specific, working with the Parks and Rec Commission to fill out some of that capital outlay to really get into the low-hanging fruit of operations and maintaining Canby's amazing parks. So, and building capacity, because there's a lot of users that are coming in for tournaments, but there's local neighborhood parks that Canby residents use that could use some TLC, and we want to get after that as well. Spencer, anything that I missed that you'd like to?
No, I would just
day to day.
I would just like to reiterate how awesome the current staff we have are. We, in the last few months, we've lost over 40 years of experience with a couple of retirements. And so it's getting everybody else up to speed. The guys are doing a fantastic job. I know that it's not maybe the exact same level as what they would like to see, but it's just kind of the nature of it with spring coming on a little earlier this year and being down a couple of extra bodies. Super excited for Nick to start next week, but yeah, I just want to really give a shout out to those guys for all the hard work they're doing.
Yeah, fantastic. We do some contracting out as well. I didn't mean to interrupt, sorry.
Any questions?
Madam Chair.
Yes. Mr. Tate.
Is there a possibility in a future budget or a way for community citizens to give input on what needs maintenance or what needs a look at? The chief talked about the benefits that we're getting from that from the police department, and obviously we're not going to spend money at probably that level for something like parks. But a way that community, I think West Lynn's an example of a city where you can put in a notice, hey, I see X, Y, Z, and you can track, yep, somebody from parks looked at that, and it's either been addressed or non-addressed, or it's going to be looked at, or whatever. You can follow along, and it gives community members an option of feeling like they didn't just say something and it went into a black hole. I don't think it does go into a black hole, but it feels that way.
Yeah.
And not everybody should just call you on the phone like I have occasionally and just expect you to call me back. You don't have that kind of time.
No, right now, we're always welcome for phone calls in. We don't currently have any tracking system in place. That is something that we're looking at for some of the other departments that could potentially then develop into the Parks Department once we get those programs up and going. So yeah, I think.
Reports could also benefit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councilor Patton.
So really quickly, and I couldn't tease it out of here necessarily. We've talked about, funding and, is there a hiring freeze, those sort of things. You said that after hiring this new person, there's still going to be 2 open positions, correct?
You can take that one.
Is there another position there?
It's a finance question.
Yeah.
Or is it one position after this person comes on in 2 weeks?
We had 2 vacancies. We've successfully filled 1, so we still have 1 vacancy to fill.
So is there budgeted in this budget to fill that vacancy or not?
Yes.
It is. Okay, good.
Sorry, I misspoke earlier about that. 2 vacancies.
We're still waiting for the one to come on. It's been he wanted to make sure that he was finishing out on a good note with the school and not leaving them high and dry.
And I will just say with the park maintenance fee, that decision ultimately lies with council. We're happy to take information from the parks folks to do it, but ultimately that decision lies with us. I am a proponent of making it a thing permanently, but others are not. And so I can assure you that when that conversation comes up, short of some catastrophic thing happening, I will happily see that extended for another 5, 10, 15, 20 years, whatever I can squeeze out of the system.
All right.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Counselor Stearns.
So if you
There's
would
your
ask for
Stern's question.
something more, what would you ask for? Why would?
I think the biggest thing would be an additional FTE would be huge to be able to grow and take care of a lot of that deferred. And then also the Parks and Rec, and as council knows, there's a big list of wish lists for new parks. And as we're building more parks, it's just going to take more people to kind of help maintain those. A smaller ask would probably be being able to update a lot more of the amenities that we currently have, or creating new amenities at those parks. The playgrounds are all getting to be 20, 25 years old that are needing to be looked at.
So I have a question, and this may be more for the finance people, but I don't see in there, but shouldn't there might be a reserve built into the budget for tied to replacement of equipment, buildings, and other sorts of things that we know will degrade over the years? Like if we buy a vehicle that's expected to last maybe 10 years, do we have a way of putting 1/10 of that away so that when that vehicle needs to be replaced, that we know it will be, like a police car or other kinds of things? So that way we can keep things upgraded on a life cycle of equipment.
Denise?
That is actually one of the reserves that we are proposing in this budget. A while ago, we talked about several reserves, several assignments for different reserves. One would be for police cars, one would be for parks, and so it is one of those. So we are proposing that in the general fund.
Yeah, good question.
You know, the building we're in right now eventually will be TLC or something.
Counselor Waterman.
I haven't seen it in anything recent, but what's kind of our official status on the disc golf course here in town? I would say not only kind of unsightly, but it seems like almost more of a physical hazard and danger for people as well in its current state.
In its current state, it is not what it once was. If that's a priority for the council or this group for us to start tackling that, we will start working on it. As far as kind of replacing, I don't know if anything like that has been brought up with
or even if we just pulled it out and don't use it anymore, but I think right now it's kind of a hazard.
It has been a few years since I've seen a lot of people out there. At one point in time, it was used very heavily.
It's about half of it is usable right now.
Yeah.
If that, yeah. Does that come up, Jim, at all in the Parks Committee?
Yeah, we've had no discussion at Park and Rec about that at all.
Okay.
Mayor Hudson?
I was just a little bit of history on that piece was that back when it was cleaned up was because we had actually I don't know if it was like a Frisbee golf nonprofit or league that actually came out on a regular basis and maintained and actually raised funds for the disc golf course baskets that are out there. But since that's not as popular as it used to be, it's just not been on the to-do list. So, I don't know if that's something, maybe if that's something that there's an interest of, that maybe the Parks Board, takes a look at as a recommendation from the council.
I think even just for the city though, even from a liability standpoint, it might be worth looking at doing something with it. It's kind of bad.
Counselor Patton?
Were you done?
Yeah.
So perhaps, how many holes is the disc golf?
I believe it's 9.
9?
9.
And how many holes are playable?
Maybe half.
Maybe we just make it a 5-hole disc golf course and yard out the ones that are not safe. Or, say, this is the upper level Discord. If you can maneuver your way through this and not die, kudos, you get a ribbon at the end.
You should be an advertisement.
Take a tetanus shot before you play.
Take a machete, you gotta take out half a wheelbarrow of brambles before you can throw your disc. I just spitballing some ideas here.
I'd vote Jim takes this to the Parks Board.
Well, and isn't there a community group that goes into different places and cleans up things like that?
Used to be, but
Yeah.
not
Not
as much.
anymore?
Not as
All right.
much.
Counselor Stearns.
Well, what about, like, the court was saying that they have some volunteers for doing service, that they're
Some
cultivators. I'm wondering if that could be utilized for some of these things that need maintenance. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's part of what these, what do they call them, exceptions to the 13th Amendment, that they can do that.
Sounds like a good idea to me.
Oh, yes, Mrs. Thompson.
So where is it, because I've had experience in a different police department that I worked in about community service and how they work with other departments. I just want to ask you, isn't there some constraints around using volunteers? I mean, you're using, not that I use heavy duty lawn or field, equipment, but I can imagine there's some safety concerns in that. And then also a staff person has to be with them probably. Do you want to comment about, I'm sure it's very helpful, but do you want to maybe comment about what some of the constraints are on using them?
Yes, and I haven't gone through, I think Jessica and Heidi were the ones that looked at a lot of the new constraints and stuff. So this is me kind of speaking from last time that Public Works and Parks kind of utilized. A lot of it was that they were constrained to not operating any kind of mechanical equipment, hand tools only. And so it really limited to strictly just kind of ground clearing and then hand weeding kind of a thing. So we did utilize them a lot for, weeding First Avenue or some of the shrub beds and stuff, but it was still there with a staff person that couldn't go out and do some of the other things. It does. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions?
All right.
Mr. Mayor?
Sorry. So I don't know if this is your department, Spencer, but I'm gonna ask you the question. So, and maybe this is one of those funds that I think maybe Daniel was just asking about setting up, was building repair. So thinking of this building and specifically, because we're coming up on what, how old now?
10 years.
10 years. Do we have funds budgeted for just even like a 10-year touch-up of, spackling and fixing walls and painting as need be and those kinds of things? Is that a budgeted piece separate, or is that part of
historically
overall maintenance of the city?
Historically, it has been. We haven't had a dedicated fund to replacing any of these maintenance items. It was always more so of, as staff, we would look at what is going to be a maintenance project that we're going to try and tackle this year, and then budgeting for that project that year, and then moving on to whatever was next.
Okay.
Like in this budget for facilities, we have $17,500 for awnings at City Hall, Mayor. That's in the facilities budget, but that's it. We could put it on the bubble list to think about building a facilities reserve.
The reason I bring it up is, so last night, we're sitting at the UGB meeting, and we're in the conference room, and I'm looking at the middle line of the wall all around that conference room that's just been chewed up by the chairbacks, and it just had me thinking this, obviously those things don't come about overnight in terms of the amount of damage, but then it just escalates. And so it just had me thinking, going, okay, what allocated funds is there? Is that just a general, right, the, facilities fund that we go, great, we're gonna fix, paint, and now we're gonna add chair rails or whatever it is. I just was curious as to how do we address those kinds of things to this building and other city buildings that we own, which aren't many anymore, but a few.
Like I said, historically, it was always once something like that is identified, or if staff knows that something like that, like the awnings, for example, those are something that we've been wanting to replace for several years, but we've never had like a dedicated fund until this year with the proposed reserves for those kind of projects.
Thank you.
Councilor Patton?
Yeah, so I find this conversation interesting because I have been a proponent for many years of creating dedicated funds for various things within the city. And I've been told by many finance directors that I'm crazy and that we can't do that and it's too time consuming and hard to track. And I've thought that was ridiculous. And so actually 2 years ago, when I fought to create the turf thing for Maple Street Park, I almost needed an act of Congress to get people to approve, to carve that out. And so I am very excited to hear that that mindset has shifted, because I am tired of us knowing that this is going to come about and we have no plan for when it actually happens. And I'm hoping that we can, I don't say we have like a city hall fund and built in like a public works building fund and that stuff, but like just general buildings to say, look, we understand that at some point in time an HVAC system can go down, a water system can happen, these things can happen. So really we should have X amount of money in a pot sitting there so that when that thing happens, we can say, we got a problem, the money's there, we pull it out. And then we work over the next few years to build that fund back up. Whether they are part of, I could see that being part of the reserve that we want to keep of 20%, understanding that some of that's for this and, you know, maybe it's 25% because we want to make sure we have flex money in case something really bad happens for paying checks or whatever. But I really think that it is, I'd like to see this momentum build towards this, especially for next year's budget to start to see more of these line items in there.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Are there any other questions?
So for your wish list, I've got an additional FTE and amending, updating the current amenities. Did I capture that? And then I also put the tracking system for maintenance requests on there as well. Okay.
Good.
Just want to make sure I heard everything.
Thank you.
And then, so I have a question. The turf fund at Maple Street, is that, how much is in that? Because I don't see it on here. It was on last year's budget.
Right.
But
It's on page.
or is it in a different fund?
Yeah, it was one of the first things I
Yeah, it's
hit.
on,
Did I miss it?
So, yes. To answer your question, there's 70,000 in there, and I believe it's on page 42.
Oh,
At the bottom?
The bottom of page 42. We list them all out there.
yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah, under reserve for future expense.
Yeah, and
It's right there.
originally,
Oh, okay.
originally what the plan was that every year we would put 35,000 or X amount of money into it.
Yes.
The first year it was funded in whole, but I think last year there was a reduction to it because we were trying to save money. So I would have to go into watch other like old meetings or go through notes to figure out how much that actually was targeting. But, because I think the goal is to get that up to, how much was it to install that? It was like 1.5 million or?
I think so.
To get it up, to essentially get it up to $1.5 million. And then once it's at like 1.5, then no more money needs to really go in there. And then when the turf, because back when this whole turf thing started, it was like you're gonna need to replace that, right? Oh, no. It gets replaced in patches. And I'm like, so you're telling me that they're gonna cut tiny holes in the turf and replace it over the next 8 years?
Like tiles, yeah.
No, this is stupid. We need to have money to say now it all gets yarded out and put back in. So that's what the purpose of that is.
So what
And
is-
I'm happy to see that more money's going in there this year.
What is
Make
the
sure you increase the
lifespan?
reserve for
of-
inflation too.
Yeah.
And then what is the lifespan of?
6 to 8 years
Oh,
is typical turf.
Yeah.
Okay.
okay. So we have,
Well, that's like school, so it could be less because it's used a lot more.
okay.
And if kids are riding their frickin' e-bikes on it and ripping donuts out there,
Which they're not supposed to
That's-
do, right?
cuts down on the life even more.
Yeah.
They are, yes. That's why we need to put little EMP devices on all the things, so if the e-bike goes through, it just zaps it and kills it.
All right.
Not the child, just the bike.
Just
All
cuts
right.
the electricity, okay.
So is that on the bubble list then?
I'd love to see that.
EMP.
Madam Chair, we're after 9 and I have 2 more. Do you want to park those or do you want to try and knock them out?
What do you think?
It's the cemetery and economic development.
Why don't you ask people to raise hands? How many people want to stay?
How many people want to stay? Raise your hand.
10 minutes, 15 minutes, or you want to adjourn?
Does everybody want to go home?
We had enough?
Do we want to go home?
Okay,
Let's
All right.
recess.
thank you.
All right, so we
Cemetery
need
fund, I wanted to put that
a
one to rest.
motion to recess.
I move we recess until May 21st.
Second.
All right. We have,
All those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
All right, we are recessed till May 21st.
Aye.
Six-